Close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires, all fears, all doubt, all laziness. Anything in the center of your mind that doesn't allow your body, your mind, and your consciousness to come to balance within oneself. Within your cranial nerves, within your body, with your hands and your feet, which control the rest of your body, your organs, your eyes and your ears, your stomach, your mouth. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day of warning. Today is a day that Yahuwah has given to us as a Nysan, a gift to us, that we may live and walk in righteousness and purity of mind and purity of thought, and acknowledge Him as the one who made all things, all of the plants, all of the eights, all of the trees and the Yum and the Achad of the earth, the one who formed and shaped all of the constellations, all the way to the highest Shammai, the first Shammai, to the seventh Shammai, where He sits at His highest throne, above all Elohims, all gods of the earth, the one who rules, the one who gives and who takes away, the one who sends His Malachi to execute judgment on the world, the one who allows us to live and to breathe, in His Son Yahushua sit in His right hand, who gives us understanding and illumination within ourselves to bring our hearts back to the Father and the Father's hearts back to us. So this Yom, we bring our minds to a meditative state, that we may discern between Tahu and Ra, between evil and good within ourselves, that we may understand that we must walk even as He has walked, and walk in His steps, who did no sin, neither was the spirit of deceit, and the spirit of deceit, nor the words of Satan was found in His mouth. But He walked in righteousness and purity, in love and compassion, always. But He did no wise clearly guilty, not even the smallest creature of the earth. So this Yom, as we move forward in kindness, Achad, joy, love, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, Amunah, forgiveness and mercy, compassion. Right? We move forward in love, which binds everything together in a perfect stringed instrument, just like the stringed 10 commandments that are 10, but they're all stringed together to form one. It's to love Yahuwah with all your heart, mind, and soul. So this Yom, as we move forward, we focus our attention on what is right, and we cast away what is wrong. So this is ODE Shaloma, or Solomon, ODE 34, 1 through 6. There is no hard way where there is a simple heart, no barrier for upright thoughts. Right, so look at simple thoughts, or you say just a simple heart. Now, we're not talking about somebody who just goes and commits sin. We're talking about an understanding that allows one to be a balanced vessel for Yahuwah, right? So if you got upright thoughts, there ain't no barriers. There ain't no barriers in your thoughts. There ain't no barriers in your heart. There ain't no barriers in your veins. You ain't got clogged arteries. There ain't no barriers in your understanding. Your binakuma de'ah, right? It all flows evenly throughout your body, from the top of your head, your crown, your kathar, your keter, to the bottom of your feet, to the bottom of your feet. Because even at the bottom of your feet, your organs and everything are, controlled. And also they dispel toxins at the bottom of your feet. Verse 2 says, no whirlwind, it says no barrier for upright thoughts, nor whirlwind in the depth of the enlightened thought. Right, so he says Yahuwah's way, He keeps His way in the whirlwind. In the book of Nahum, chapter 1, He said Yahuwah have His way in the whirlwind. He said you ain't gonna have no whirlwind with enlightened thoughts, because Yahuwah's wrath ain't gonna be upon you. He said he that sows to the wind gonna reap the whirlwind. So if you ain't sowing to the wind, doing things opposite of what Yahuwah says, then guess what? You're not gonna get a whirlwind in your life. Verse 3 says, where one is surrounded entirely by pleasing country, there is nothing divided in him. Right? He said, ain't nothing divided in Him. It's pleasing country. There's nothing divided internally. He said, Yahuwah is what? My shepherd. I have no lack. He's making me lie on the green pastures. He lead me by the still waters. In open country, you're going to be surrounded entirely, and you'll be pleased, and you're going to be nothing divided inside of you. Right? But it says right here, verse 4 says, the likeness of that which is below is that which is above. When you look at below and above, we're looking at as above, so below. So the likeness of that which is below is that which is above. For everything is from above. Everything is from the highest Shamayim. Everything is from above. It's the unseen world. It's everything from above. And from below there is nothing. Everything comes from the highest Shamayim. We're not talking about the Rakia, the firmament. But he's talking about everything comes from there. He said, but it is considered to be by those in whom there is no understanding. But it is considered to be by those in whom there is no understanding. Because people think that there is actually things come from here. No, everything comes from above. But being that people don't have no understanding of the one who sits in the highest Shamayim, they think of things down here. Verse 6 says, Khan has been revealed for your salvation. They say grace or Khan. Believe and live and be saved. It's being revealed for your salvation. How you say, for your deliverance, your removing of the things within your life that you don't need. Wisdom of Shaloma, Kukun Shaloma 16:12-25. It said, wisdom is glorious, it never fadeth away. It never fades away. Shamayim is my throne, the earth is my footstool. He said that Shamayim and earth will pass away, but my word will never pass away. My debar. It says, yea, she is easily seen of them that love, and found of such as seek her. So if you seeking and you have love, Ahab, fikri, amor, a humble, you walking in righteousness, then guess what happens? It's going to be found of you. Whoso seeketh their early shall have no great travail. So we talked about last year the evening and morning sacrifice. How you bring 2 lambs in the morning, 2 lambs in the evening. We supposed to have an offering during these times. If you seek her early, you're going to have no great travail. For you shall find her sitting at your door, right at the doors of your mouth, right at the doors of your mind. And it'll be talking while you doing your sacrifice. To think upon her is perfection of wisdom, and whoso watcheth for her shall quickly be without care. And he says, Hakma, right? For she goeth about seeking such that are worthy of her, shows herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every single yetzer, or your mukashba, your thoughts. We talked about our thoughts. Because Satan sees the sins in the thoughts, but if wisdom is there, he said, no evil thought going to bother your mind. It can't. Right? So we look at wisdom and understanding as that. 2 Baruch 48:7. You remember the beginning. Right? You remember the beginning which you created, and you do not forget that he said, you do not forget that destruction will come. With signs and fears and threats, you command the flames, and they change into winds. Right? So we just talked about reaping the whirlwind. He said, enlightened thought don't have no whirlwind. And with the word, you bring to life that which does not exist. With the bar. And where does the word come from? From above. Nothing from below. It's from above. And with great power, you hold that which has yet to come. Just like things that haven't happened yet in the world, whether in your life or in places. The only reason it hasn't happened yet because he hasn't said anything yet. That's the only reason. Everything happens at an appointed time. There's always an appointed time for things. Verse 9 says, you instruct the creation with your understanding, and you give wisdom to the spheres. So if you ain't operating on the spheres, just like you said, wisdom seek her early, if you ain't operating on the spheres, how you getting it? It says, from the highest Shamayim. He says, so that they minister according to their positions. So what, you see, they look at positioning of the spheres. Right? We're looking at a celestial circle, a sphere. Right? He said, they minister according to their position. And guess what it says? The 4th book of Azra, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1, Old Testament, 41 through 42. Why successive generations have been created. I said, yet behold, O Yahuwah, you have charge of those who are alive at the end. But what will those do who are before us, or we, or those who come after us? He said to me, I shall liken my judgment to a circle. So just like you look at a circle, you see a tornado, they call it a tornado, a whirlwind, a hurricane, right? You look at all these things, what happens? It's a whirlwind, it spins. It's like a cone, it's like a cone, it's like a vortex. And that vortex, what? Creates what? Destruction. But an enlightened thought individual, he said, won't get a whirlwind. You won't get it. Right? Just at, he said, my judgment as a circle. He said the spheres, they move according to, he said they minister according to their positions. Right? Just as for those who are last, there is no slowness. So for those who are first, there is no haste. Everybody running, they think they running, I'm ahead, I'm fast, I'm running fast, I'm going slow. Everybody's running at the same pace, regardless if you're going fast or slow. They had to study where they had a car going a certain amount of miles per hour, maybe like 40 miles an hour, then they had another car going 70 miles an hour. And then as they calculated the times, they realized that the person who was going 40 miles an hour was only losing maybe 2 minutes. They thought they were going ahead like an hour, 30 minutes. They only was going ahead by maybe 2-3 minutes of time. And hitting the gas, risking their life, getting ready to die, right? Doing all these things speeding, but in actuality, the person that's just driving regular is going to get there just as fast and how you say, without risking their life. Right, so this is 2nd Enoch, Bith Hanuk 48, about the solar and movements along the 7 celestial circles, volume 1. It says the sun, so that it might travel along the 7 celestial circles, right, just ministering according to positions, which are appointed with 182 thrones, so that it might descend to the shortest day, right, so that's where we moved away from. And once more, 182 thrones that we may descend to the longest day. That's where we're headed. We're in the first portal, moving towards the longest day. And as we move toward the longest day, fruits are going to bear. Whether it's evil fruit, rotten grapes, rotten figs, or good fruit, good figs, good grapes, good pomegranates, good bananas, good edible things within, like I said, that other people can eat, whether it's naturally or spiritually. But it says he also have 2 great thrones, where he pauses when he turns around in his direction and in the other direction higher than the lunar thrones. So if you look at all the lunar thrones, we talk about the Shemesh, Kukubi, Miniyar, we talk about the sun and the moon. The sun sits higher than the lunar thrones. It'll always sit higher than the lunar thrones. Anything opposite of that, you're going to find yourself doing something you shouldn't do. It says, and in this way, the sun moves along the celestial circles when he comes close to the earth. Then the earth is merry and makes its fruit grow. That's what should happen. When Yahushua Mashiach or the sun comes closer, he say, man, everybody get joyful, as you see today. It's like, man, we get to go outside. We get to roller skate. We get to go outside. We get to go in the trees, in the forest. The animals are out. The insectoids are out. Everything's out. Everybody's, and the roes are out. The stags are out. Everybody's happy. Everybody's coming out. But when he goes away, the earth laments, and the trees and all the fruits lose their productivity, and all this is by measurement. It's been fixed. It's a measurement that Yahuwah has, and it's unseen. You can't even see it. And by the most precise measurement, the hours are fixed. It is measured by his own wisdom, because it's enlightened thought, by his own hukmah, that everything visible and invisible, from the invisible things, and the invisible things, he created all the visible things, and he himself is invisible. He's in the highest Shemayim. He's above everything else. Everything's from above. He's invisible. He has an invisible force on the earth that you can't see, that executes judgment, and that's how powerful he is. Thus I am making it known to you, my children, and you must hand over the book to your children, and through all your generations, and to your relatives, and among all Goyim who are discerning, so that they may fear Yahuwah. That they may fear Yahuwah. So that they may accept them. That the honey, like we talked about last week, the honey, the debash, that you may accept it. Because he said, when the sun gets close, you're supposed to be joyful. That's what happens. He said when you get honey on the inside. But it said right here, and they will be more enjoyable than any delightful food on earth. And they will read them and adhere to them. So he said, after you read something, you should, I say, adhere to what you read, and it becomes fruits in your life. But to those who are undiscerning and who don't understand Yahuwah, neither fear Elohim nor accept them, but renounce them and regard themselves as burdened by them. Oh man, that's just too much work. I don't want to do all that. Terrible judgment is awaiting them. Simcha is the person who puts their yoke on and carries it around, for he will plow on the great day of judgment. Right. So this is 4th book of Azra, to the Qahalath, volume 1, 5:56. I said, O Master Yahuwah, I beseech you, if I have found favor in your sight, show me your servant through whom you are going to visit your creation. So we look at all the things that Yahuwah has done. He said, how are you going to visit the earth? How are you going to visit your creation? Right, go to 6 and 1, that same book. It says, and he said to me at the beginning of the circle of the earth, before the portals of the world was in place. We look at all the portals. Before all of them were in place, and before the assembled winds, the assembled winds blew before the whirlwinds, and before the rumbling of the thunder sounded, and before the flashing of the lights shone, and before the foundations of the paradise were laid, and before beautiful flowers were seen. What are we seeing now? You see the flowers turning blue, you see the trees turning purple, white, you see it turning pink. And before the powers of the movement were established, the movements of the seven celestial circles, because it's all invisible. You can't see it. Together, before the heights of the Malachim were gathered together, and before the heights of the air were lifted up, and before the measures of the firmament were named, and before the footstool of Sa'un was established, and before the present years were reckoned, and before the imagination of those who now sin were estranged, and before those who stored up treasures of Amunah were sealed, then I planned these things. Before all of this, before I was even there. Who can do that? You can plan every single thing on the earth. In the Rakia, to the first Shamayim, all the way to the highest Shamayim. No. These things, and they were made through me, and not through another. He said, I planned all these things. It was all made through me and not from another. So when people say, oh, it was made by this person or that person or this person or that person, you be like, no, it was not. No, it was not. Just as the end shall come through me and not through another. Everything in the beginning came through me, and everything in the end is going to come through me. And I'm all invisible. And guess what? Everything's from above too. It comes from above. It comes from above. This is Hanuk. Enoch 82, 2-9. I have given wisdom to thee, and to thy children, that they shall be to thee, that they may give to their children generations the wisdom, namely, that passeth their thought. So why would you want wisdom that only stops at your thought? There's nothing enlightening about that. He said you want a wisdom that passes your own thought, something that's invisible, that's higher than you, that's beyond your capacity to even comprehend, that you can be in awe of for the rest of your life. You want some thought, you want wisdom like that. Verse 3 says, and those who understand it shall not sleep, but shall listen with the ear, that they may learn this wisdom, hukmah, and it shall please those that eat there better than any good food. And those who understand it shall not sleep. Right? It says, Barak are the righteous. Barak are those who walk in the way of righteousness. Why do you think Yahushua says stay awake? People say, why he's saying stay awake? He said, not what I say unto all, what I say unto you, I say unto all, stay awake. Why would he say that? We know we're entering in a time of much watching. He said, watch unto prayer, that you may not enter into salvation. And we're moving into that time. He said, it's a time of much watching. He says, Barak are the righteous. Barak are those who walk in the way of righteousness and sin not as the sinners in the reckoning of their days, in which the sun transverses the Shamayim, entering into the parting of the portals for 30 days, right? 90 days. 30 days, 3 months per cycle, early winter, late winter, with heads of thousands in the orders of the stars. It says, of 30 days with the heads of thousands of the orders of the stars. Because the sun transverses it, and it's the head of all the orders of the stars. And it sits higher than the lunar thrones, together with the four which are intercalated, which divide the 4 portions of a year, which lead them to enter with them 4 days. 4 days. Owning to them, men shall be at fault, not recognizing them accurately. For they will belong to the reckoning of a year, and they are truly recorded thereon, forever. One in the first portal, that's where we're at. But he was here before this portal was even created. That's where we're at. And one in the third, and one in the fourth, and one in the sixth. And the years completed 364 days. And the account of this is accurate, and its recorded reckoning thereof exact for the luminaries and months and festivals and years and days. And Uriel, a Malachi, which was created, Yahuwah created before the earth, before he was even created. In the unseen force, in the unseen world, in the highest and from above. And Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom the master of whole creation of the whole of the world has subjected the whole Shamayim, and he has power over night and day in the Shamayims to cause the light to give light to thee. It says, to cause light, to give light to men. The Shemesh, Kukabim in the yard. Yahuwah gave that light to us. But for some reason, man has now thinking that he did. And now they're looking at the Shemesh in the yard as, they say, something that can be admired, when he's the one who sits above it, and he's invisible, and he created it. And all the powers of Shamayim, which revolve in the circular chariots. How do you say circular chariots? Abraku. He say his clouds are his chariot. All of these things in his circular chariots revolve in the circular chariots, right? So we look at 360 degrees, right? 360 degrees, right? So we look at a circle, or you could look at many shapes, but you can look at hexagonal, but that says 90 degrees. Right? You say 90-degree angles, right? And you start to look at these, right? 90-degree angles, right? But then he said 30 days per month, that we just read, right? 30 times 3 is 90, right? One transition per season, right? And that's the extra day. That's what he said, 4 days. And you got 90 days per 3 months quadrant. In 12 months, 9 plus 0 is 9. 90 days times 2 is 182. That's 2 seasons. Early summer, early winter. No, early summer, late summer. That is what? 180. Then you add the 2 days from the 2 transition times. That's 182 thrones of the sun. You got 4 transitions. 4 transitions, the revolution of time, 364 days, which equals to what? I say a completion of a year, and it's accurate. 13, which equals to 4. You start even looking at the 4 transition times and the 4 portals. Then you have 12 months in the revolution of time. That's a whole year, because all this understanding is important. You got spring, it's early summer, that's where we're in. You're starting to see the trees bud, and all of the leaves and the sprouts and everything started to come out, the insectoids, and all the annoying things that you got to clean up after every single time and they put things on the ground, right? And it says summer, late summer, the longest. They say longest. If you're going from the late summer, it's the longest day, shortest night. It's the longest day and the shortest night, and it's the summer solstice. Then you have the autumn, early winter. You have winter, where he said, "Oh, this is Koref and Keats," and it says what? Longest night, shortest day, winter solstice. Right, so we're moving into this longest day, shortest night on a new 364-day cycle, and it's accurate. And we're gonna see how accurate it is. Right, this is Bereshit 1:1. In the beginning, Bereshit, Elohim created the Shamayim in the earth was without form and void, and darkness over the face of the deep. And the Ruach of Elohim was hovering and moving from the face of the waters. Marakav al panim hamayim. And Elohim said, "Let there be or," and there was light. But there was light made on the 4th day. But there was light here. But this light right here is greater than the light that was there, because this light is unseen. Because the light that's seen is made on the 4th day. And Elohim saw that the light or was good. And Elohim separated the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light or Yum, and the darkness he called night or Layla. And there was evening and there was morning, Achad, Yum. Right? He said there was evening and there was morning, I say Achad, Yum. We look at all these transition times, right? You look at Yum Achad, right? We look at all that. He said, Wa'yara Elohim at ha'or. Right? He said Ki ta'u, right? That's what he made it. He made it good. Right? And you got Bain, that's in between. He separated light from Bain and Kashak, right? He say darkness. Right? And you look at all this and he say what? He say Kara Layla. He say right? He say woo, yeah. They say some say yeah, or they say haya, yeah, and he says what? And they have Bakar, Yum, Achad, evening and morning. Right? So we look at all this, and it's Achad. But then remember, you say, why would you do this? And he say what? Remember the beginning? It says 2 houses. We went over this before, but house, 2 houses. The beginning, the house of the creation of the Elohims. But then you see right here, what? The 2 houses are what? The 2 houses that were divided. What 2 houses were divided? Yasharal and Yehuda. They were divided. Right? But then on this day, he said what? Let it be Achad. Right, let it be one. But the two houses, behold, the house. Right, and we went over the first letter. Behold the house, strength. Right? Behold the tent peg. Behold, right? Behold the tent peg. They're gonna join everybody together. And guess what it says? Yum Ist. It's one day, first day. Right? Bereshit 1:14 through 15. Yahuwah said, let there be lights in the firmament of the Shamayim to separate the day from the night. Right, to Badal. And let them serve as signs as festival times and counting of the reckoning of days. What do you mean reckoning of days? This is the Aramaic Targum's version. Reckoning of a 364-day cycle. We just read it. And for the sanctifying of the beginning of months, and the beginning of years, and intercalation of months, and intercalation of years, and the solstices. Right? We just talked about winter solstice, summer solstice, and the new moons, right? They put new moons in here. But that's just months. The new months. They say new moon because it's new months. And it says in the cycles of the sun. Right, because you need the sun. You need the sun. It said, and let them serve as lights in the firmament of Shamayim to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And it was so. Yahuwah made the two greater lights, and they were equal in kabod. And it says equaling kabod, or glory, for 21 hours less 672 parts an hour. And after the moon spoke with a slenderous tongue against the sun, and it was made smaller, and he appointed the sun, which was greater light, to rule over the day, and the moon, which was lesser light, to rule over the night, and the star. And Yahuwah arranged them in their courses in the firmament of Shamayim to give light upon the earth, and to minister in the day and in the night, and to separate the light of the day from the darkness of the night. That's why he's doing it. I'm separating light from day and night, light from darkness. And Yahuwah saw that it was good, and there was evening and there was morning, the fourth day. These are the lights you can see. The fourth day. The fourth day. And amazingly, it's made on the fourth day. And what's the last portal? The sixth portal. That's the fourth portal. And amazingly, it ends on the fourth portal. It's at the fourth day. The amazing is 4 days for the transition times, move from 182 thrones to another 182 thrones to the fourth day. Bereshit 1:14 through 19. And Yahuwah said, let there, this is the ESV version, let there be ma'or, or chandeliers, or lights in the expanse of the rakia of the Shamayim to separate or bedal the day and Yum from Layla. And let them be for signs, for seasons, muads, for days, years, and Shana, and lights and ma'or in the expanse of the Shamayim to get light upon the earth. And it was so. And Yahuwah made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, or you say Mim Shela, and the lesser light to rule, or the ma'or to rule the night. Mim Shela. And the kabod and the stars. And Elohim set them in the expanse of the rakia to give light on the earth, to mashal over day and night, and to separate the light from the darkness, or the layla. And Elohim saw that it was good. So people are like, huh? So he made all the expanse and everything, that all of these lights, and you see in the sky, all in the sky, and he said it's good. So if Yahuwah made it good, how did it become something evil? Because they forgot that everything comes from above. That's the only reason it became evil. Because everybody forgot it became from, all this stuff came from above. This ain't coming from nobody on the here on the earth, or in the expanse, in the rakia, or in the seven Shamayims. It came from him. And it says, and there was evening and there was morning, fourth Yom, right? The fourth day, right? The word for this, let there be signs. They're gonna be for signs is oath, or Aydah, right? Because it has the olive wood in the top, in the two. It means signal. It's gonna be for a signal. He said, let them be for signals, right? And for signs, just like you see when the sun, when all the planets align, or you say all of the stars align, like they say, you'll see an alignment, and then you'll see a star at the top. They're like signaling a spring or a summer or a fall or you say spring, early summer or late summer, or early winter, late winter, they're signaling you. And also he says, as above, so below. So they also signaling you on earth. They're also signaling you on earth. It says also for warning. He said these stars, this Shemesh in the yard, the sun, moon, and the stars, they give you a warning too. And it's a standard, also a miracle. He said, let these lights be for miracles and proof. So are you proof to them? Are you a miracle to them? Are you a standard? He said, go through the gates. Go through. Lift up a standard for the people. Are you a standard? Are you a miracle? And are you proof? And are you a warning? Right? And it says right here that people say don't want to be a warning. I said, okay. And they say right here, it says for a signal, for evidence. Right? A beacon. Right? You ever seen a beacon somebody need rescued? And they like, turn the beacon on. We're trying to get rescued. A flag. Right? Some people put a surrender flag. They put a flag up to let people know. Right? But these are all just definitions that were created by human beings to give a definition to something that Yahuwah said. But it's a sign. Just like we look at signs, look in the earth. Right? Also, the word for season is muaz. It's let it be for an appointed place, an appointed time, a meeting, a sacred season. That's what we're in now. An appointed season, a fixed time, an assembly, a congregation, a community gathering, right? Festival time, an appointed time, meeting place. That's what they're for. The signal of a time where people meet. They have the G8 summit, they have the G20, they have Davos, they have all these meetings in the world. They have a CE, a corporation meeting, right? They have conferences, all these things that people do naturally. They can't understand something that's from above, right? Fixed time. It's all fixed. Fixed in the Shamayim, in the seven celestial circles. That word for days, let them be for signs, seasons, and days. What do you mean days? Yum. Working days. Division of time. Right? We talk about the division of time. 364 days, 4 transition times, early summer, late, early winter, late winter. Opposed, right? Perpetually, presently. A required season. So you think about all these seasons. If they weren't required to be at their appointed points in the seasons, you wouldn't have no food. If the Shemesh in the yard and all the rain and snow and all the things that's supposed to happen were not in their appointed time and season, you ain't gonna have no food to eat. So you think about the human beings and everything on the earth. If these things that serve you didn't do the things that they were supposed to do. If Yahuwah says, don't do anything, what is that? How is that going to be good for you? Right? It's important because Yahuwah controls all the Malachim and all the gods of the earth. Right? It says right here, and it says what? In lifetime, time period. Right? So all this is important. Right? So the word for years is Shana, division of time, a measure. That'll be for times, days, seasons, and years. A lifetime, right? It's measured. It says a year, annually, years, every year. Every year. Right? And that word for rule, it says let the greater light, Gadol, Ma'or, light, the greater Ma'or rule the day, and the lesser Ma'or to Mim Shala the night. That word for rule is Mim Shala. He's telling the Shamash to rule and have dominion, right, in the realm of the day. He's telling that to rule the day, rule dominion. Yahusha said what? I'm going to work the work while it's day. He said when night comes, I can't work. Who works in the night? The lesser light works in the night. And guess what the lesser light do? The same thing. It means Shella. She rules. She has dominion. She rules that realm. She is the ruler of the night. That's what the Iraq is. the Shamash rules by the day. Right? And it says right here, it says that word to, he said, let it be for to rule over the day and nights. When he talks about the sun and the moon, he said, let them be marshal. So you got all this dominion, and rulership over day and night, and you have to, how you say, to marshal over the day and night. You have it all the time. It says what? To rule, to have dominion, to reign, to have power, to gain control, to have authority, to rule, to rulings. You have that power. And who has that power? We talked about the two houses, house, string. Behold the tent peg. We talk about the 12 tribes. Or they say Shalush Matah. It's Shalush Matah. Right? It says, and there was evening and there was morning, the fourth Yum. Amazingly, it says the fourth. 4 square. Amazingly, we talked about the greater light, the Gadol Ma'or, Mim Shala, and the Godor, how you say, Ma'or, the Mim Shala in the nighttime and the daytime. And guess what? It's 4 square. 4. It's like the 4 movement cycles of the 364-day cycle. And these lights rule. They have the authority and dominion. And they must show over night and day. And they're supposed to be for signs and miracles and proof on the earth. And they're supposed to be for signals on the earth. And they're supposed to have power. Right, so this is 2nd Enoch 11:1. And those men took me and carried me up to the 4th Shamayim and showed me all the movements of the sequences of the rays of the solar and lunar light, the 4th Shamayim. We talk about the 4 transition times, the 4th day of creation. He said he took me to the 4th and showed me all the lunar lights. And I measured their movements and I compared their light, and I saw it. That the sun, Shemesh, has a light 7 times greater than the yard. But guess who rules the night? Guess who rules? They both shine, but guess who rules the day? The sun moves, Mim Shala the day. The Iraq move, he said Mim Shala the night. He said, you shine way a lot brighter than that. Why? Because the sun and the moon are in the sky at the same time. But when the sun shines, the moon turns into this. But when the sun leaves, it's like, man, look at me, I'm tired. I've been shining all day. You know how long it takes me to keep this light showing? You get to the highest point, it's like, man, I'm getting tired. And here come the moon. So I got you after it's over. And I saw his circle and his wheels, on which he always goes. He said, I saw the wheels and the circle, going past always like the wind with quite marvelous speed. Right? This is Bereshit 37, 9-10. Then he dreamed another dream and told his brothers and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream. Behold, the Shemesh, the Yark, and the 11 stars were bowing to me. This is Jacob's family. How you say it? The 12 tribes. The 12 tribes. But he told it to his father and his brothers. And his father rebuked him. You little lying son. Right, that's basically what they said. You a liar. But in actuality, we just read all that. Was he a liar? He just said let them have authority over the night and the day. Mim Shala. He said, shall I, the son, Shemesh, your mother, the Yerach, who has Mim Shala at the night, who the father has Mim Shala at the day, and your brothers, the stars, the Kukubim, indeed come and bow ourselves to the ground before you? And his brothers were jealous of him. They were, how you say, really jealous. And his father kept the sayings in his mind. He heard the word. He rebuked him first, and he heard the word, and he kept it in his mind. He like, he said something right there, right? And that's literally what happened. But here's it, Bereshit 1:26. Then Yahuwah Elohim said, let us make Adam in our Salim, and after our Demut, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the Shamayim, right? Over the fish of the sea, the Dagayam, the birds of the Shamayim, over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing in the earth. So Yahuwah Elohim created Adam in his own image and likeness. Created him, male, Zakar, female, Nakubah. He created them. Just like we saw the 10 pair, Wu, Zakar, and Wu, Nakubah. He created them his image and likeness, his Damuth and Salim. Wu bara. He made them in his image and likeness. This is Bereshit 1:28-31. And Elohim Yahuwah baraked them. And Yahuwah said, behold, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. Have have dominion. Isn't that what he told the Shemesh women in the yard? He said the greater light, Shamash, Mim Shala, over the day, Yum, and the year lot to Mim Shala over the night, both male and female. Shall I, your mother, and your brothers bow down to give to you? Shall we bow down to you? Oh yes, they did. The first day of creation. There was a light before them. There was an aura before the even creation itself. This is even before Yahushua even came. There was a light before them on the first day of creation. He said, let them have dominion. He's literally giving them the same dominion as the Shemesh community are on day and night. And over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the Shamayim, and over everything that lives and moves on the earth. So that's this is the earthly realm. And then you have the celestial realm. So you see them talking about the celestial realm, and then now you're talking about the lower realm of the earth. But he said, as above, so below. As above, so below. And you notice he put the Shemesh and the Yirak over the stars. You're over the stars. It says, and all Yahuwah said, behold, I have given every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, and every tree with seed and its fruit. You shall have them for food. Akla. That is your food for these type beings, for these higher beings. That is your food. It has not changed. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the Shamayim, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has breath of life, I have given every green plant for food. That's what I given them for food. And it was so. And Yahuwah Elohim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was male Tawud, Mu'ibim. It was on that level. Very good. And there was evening and there was morning, the sixth Yom. And people talking about, I want to travel to the sixth, seventh Shamayim. People can't even do the sixth, let alone the fourth. And we're on the seventh. We're in the seventh day today. So I want to go there. Well, guess what? And it says right here, Bereshit 2:7-9. Then Yahuwah Elohim formed Adam from the dust of the ground, from the Adamah, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living creature. And Yahuwah Elohim planted a Gan in Eden, and in the east, and there he put the Adam whom he had formed. And out of the ground Yahuwah Elohim made the spring of every tree that's pleasant to the sight and good, or it's a male called for food. Because that's what he said. He said, I made it that way. He said, these beings got authority on the earth over all the things you see on the earth, on the first face of the earth. And guess what? Just like Yaakov and his, amazingly, Yaakov had 4 wives. And he said, you and your mother? He had 4 wives, but he said, you and your mother. He had 4 wives. Shall I, your mother, and the 11 stars bow down for you? He had 4 wives, right? And every tree is pleasant sight and good for food. Bereshit 2:15-17. Yahuwah Elohim took the man and put him in the garden of Eden and to work it and keep it. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying, you may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, Ta'ob and Ra, because you too young to be eating that. You shall not eat of it. For the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. You're going to be dealing with the things you shouldn't be thinking. You too young to be looking at stuff like that. You too young to be knowing stuff like that. You too young to be putting that stuff in your head. It will only make you die. Because what's the wages of sin? Death. That's all it's going to do. Because that's the wages of sin. The wages of sin is death. Right? So he said, abide and keep it, right? Abide and shamar, right? Abide and guard it. Shamar is guard, protect, fence. He like, be a protector of the garden. Right? At all costs, right? Bereshit 3:8-13. And they heard the sound of Yahuwah walking in the garden in the cool of the day. What's the cool of the day? That's like in the morning sacrifice. And because the Shemesh hasn't reached to its highest point yet. That's where we're at now. But we haven't gotten to the highest point. We're in the cool of the day right now, ain't we? We're in the cool of the day. This is the cool of the day. This is the early summer. It still look cold, but it's not too cold. It's the cool of the day. And the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah, Elohim, because 3 times a year he's supposed to appear. Zakar, Nakubah. Among the trees of the garden. But Yahuwah Elohim called to the man and said to him, "Where are you?" And he said, "I have heard the sound in your sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked. And I hid myself." And he said, "Who told you you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of the knowledge I command you not to eat? Who taught you that? Who gave you that information?" The man said, "The woman whom you gave me to be with me, she gave me of the fruit of the tree, and I ate." And Yahuwah said to the woman, "What is this that you have done, woman?" Isha said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." So now you're looking at a point in season where there is nothing clean where he at right now. The whole garden all messed up. Everybody going after other gods. Everybody's going after other gods. So let's see what Yahuwah does. Bereshit 3:16 through 18. To the woman he said, "I will surely multiply your pain and childbearing, and in pain you shall bring forth children. Your teshuka, your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall mushal over you." He gonna mushal over you. Over who? Over you. He punished them. Their punishment. Bereshit 3:16 through 18. We just read it. And Yahuwah he made the 2 Gadol, great light, Gadol, greater light, and the Ma'or light, the greater light, Ma'or, to rule or Mimshala the day, and the lesser light to what? Mimshala the night, and the Kukabid. And Elohim set them in the expanse of the Shamayim to give light on the earth, to Mashal over day and night. Who's over the moon? The Mimshala, the sun. And he Mashals over her. And then the night comes, what happens? Then she shines, but the sun is still ruling. He punished them just like it was on the 4th day of creation. He didn't punish them outside of the 4th day of creation. He just took them from a 7 Shamayim type thing to a 4th Shamayim type mind. He just demoted them to a 4th Shamayim type mind. That's all he did. He demoted them. But he still gave them things to do. This verse 17 of that same verse, go skipping down, it says, "And to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife," right? Yeah, this is verse 17. And he says, "And have eaten of the fruit of the tree of that which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you." I mean, the whole soil is messed up. He said, the whole ground cursed because of you. Because of you, the ground is cursed. In pain you shall eat of all the days of your life. Eat of the earth. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat of the plants of the field. So he never changed his punishment. He never changed his food. He only changed the fact that he got to work the ground to get it. And guess what he did? And he they still had authority and dominion. They still had it. They still had to be for signs in the earth and miracles. They still had to be that in the earth. They still had to be that. This book of Job, EU 38:12 through 31. "Have you commanded the morning since your days began?" Yes. And Yahuwah did, and caused the dawn to know its place. Yahuwah, we just read it in the book of Hanut. That it might take hold of the skirts of the earth, and it says, "And the wicked be shaken out of it." It is changed like clay under the seal, and its features stand out like a garment. From the wicked, their light is withheld, and their uplifted arm is broken. Can you establish their rule on the earth? Have you entered into the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep? Can you do that? Have the gates of death been received to you? This is all Yahuwah's power. Or have you seen the gates of deep darkness? Have you seen it? Have you comprehended the expanse of the earth? Declare it if you know it. Because a lot of people think they know things. Be like, can you comprehend the expanse of the earth? Because a lot of people got calculations. And they be like, I know it. And I say, no, you're a liar. He says, where is the way of the dwelling of the light? Where is that at? I know where it's at. And where is the place of darkness? That you may take it to its territory, that you may discern the path of its home, to its home. You know, for you were born then. He said, and the number of your days is great. Have you entered into the storehouse of the snow? Or have you seen the storehouses of hail? That which I have reserved for the time of trouble? Because we just talked about in the second Baruch, he said, we remember the end of destruction. For the day, he says, for the day, battle and war. What is the way to the place where the light is disturbed? And where is the east wind is scattered upon the earth? Who has cleft a channel in the torrents of the rain and way for the thunderbolts? Because the thunderbolts, you can see it, it's just like veins in your hand. It's just like the veins in a leaf. It's just like the veins, you see rivers. The thunderbolts are just like that. It's just like the plants you eat that put in your thunderbolt body with your hands that look like veins in your hand. He said, what is it? He said, can you do that? To bring rain on the land where there is no man. On the desert in which there is no, what? Man. To satisfy the waste in the desolate land. And to make the ground sprout with grass. That's why there ain't no sprouting grass in the desert, because they dam off the water. But that's what happens when people, man, tries to control things. It says, has the rain a father? Or what has begotten the drops of the dew? He said, he's trying to get people to understand. We were just talking about everything from above. He said, who did all that? From whose womb did the ice come forth? And who has given birth to the frost of Shamayim? The waters became hard like stone, and the faces of the deep frozen. These are all winter and summertime. Early summer, late winter. Early winter, late winter. This is all during the celestial cycles. Because these are words that were written for people who are paying attention to these things. This is where their lyrics came from, to their songs, to their words, to their sayings, both male and female, to their understanding. This is where their lyrics came from. This is how they sung. This is how they gave praise. This is how they understood. This is how they lived. And it became a part of their whole composite of who they are. And these things allow people to do things that defy all human logic on earth. But it said right here, verse 31, can you bind the chains of Pleiades? Or loose the cords of Orion? Can you lead forth Mazzaroth in their season? Can you do that? Can you guide the bear with his children? Can you do that? Do you know the ordinance of Shamayim? That's the whole question. Do you know the ordinances of the Shamayim? Because if you don't, then you don't understand who you are. So this is the word for, can you bind, this is chains, can you bind the chains? That word for chains is Adonai. It means to what? Bond, chains. It means influence. Can you bind the influences? Can you Adonai the influences? Influences of what? Can you bind the influences of the Pleiades? A constellation of 7 stars, the Pleiades, the 7 stars, the Pleiades. A cluster of stars. Or you got cluster stars, that's a group of stars, and you have binary stars. Those are 2 stars that rotate around each other. Right? That's why Yahushua said, with 2 or 3 got in my name, they're around the midst, right? We're talking about, binary and star clusters, right? He said, can you bind the influences of the Pleiades? Of what? Of the Pleiades. Right? So we look at the Pleiades as what? 7 star clusters. Right? Each star cluster, he said the stars, he said, can you bind the influences of the Pleiades? Right, because when you look at the star Atlas appears in the springtime. Above, they say what they call the planetary alignments. It's the star that exists above the planetary alignments. The Pleiadian star exists, and it comes in, Taurus comes into that actual realm during that time. During the time of the equinox. When we're going from the transition from early winter to late winter. and then moving to the extra day towards the first day of spring, or how you say early summer. And that star exists during this time. He's like, who can buy the sweet influences of the Pleiades? Right? They have names here. Maya, you can see these actual names in the earth, where people actually have these names. Electra, right? Merok, right? Eolakain, right? Seleno. People actually have these names. Astero. Because these actual stars, how you say, are ruled by Mim Shala, of the greater light, and Mim Shala is the Yirach. And we just talked about, your code says, your I, your mother, and your brother rule over I, your mothers, and your brother rule over you. You gonna tell me we're gonna bow to you? Exactly. But all these stars appear in that same time frame. Right? So when we get to the end of the 364 and start a new one in the first portal, because the first portal, Atlas appears, and then you have Pleiades, right? But they say right here, can you loose? That word for loose, it says or loose. That word for loose is patak. It means to open. So he's saying, can you open oneself, to loosen, to open? Can you draw it out? Can you carve it? Can you engrave it? Can you open it? Can you loose oneself? Can you do it? Can you to open it? He said, can you open what? Or he says, can you loose, right, the cords of what? That's masakah. Something drawing, a cord. Can you loose the bands or the cords, right? Because you got to look at everything that holds things together. How things are holding things together? Well, I got a belt on. And then when you put a belt on, then what do you have? So back in the day when people put a tunic on or anything, they would wrap a cord around their waist. And that cord around their waist, what? Represented what? In this instance, he's saying that the cord represents Orion. And he says, can you bind the cords of the Ketsil? Of the Ketsil, right? The constellations. Orion. The constellation Orion. Or in Greek they say Oranos. Right? The constellation Orion. He said, can you bind the cords of Orion? Because it's like a belt. It's like a belt that a person puts on. Can you loose it? Because usually when you loosen a cord, you're going to find somebody's privy parts. Just like a man uses to lose his cord, you're going to find his yard, or vice versa. Right? All these are a part of it. He said, can you loose the cords of Orion? Right? So we look at Orion, right? We look at Mintaka, and we look at Rigel. All these are in the Orion's constellation. Melissa, Belagais, right? And it says this is the belt of Orion, right? And also what you got? This is all a part of Orion, right? And it says right here. Now you see what they call the three stars of Orion. It says Rigel or Slav, right? All these are a part of it. These are all part of the constellation Orion. Right? When you start looking at the measurements of how the stars are aligned. But he said, can you loose the cords of Orion? Because this cord right here, this Orion's actual belt, during the year, there's a time where the stars disalign themselves. As you move along the 7 celestial circles, they disalign themselves. He's like, can you loose the cords in the bands of Orion? Right, so you can see here you have they call it the Mayan, or they say the Mayan calendar, right, in Meshikin, right? So you look at right here, right, these little 4 angles right here that you see right here, this is Orion. So when you see this, these actual stars, right, these are Orion, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? They call this the Meshikin calendar. Then you have this right here. This is what they would call Orion's belt. Orion's belt, right? And you see many things you can see here, but then all this is a part of their calendar, right? This is Orion's belt. So he's talking about constellational movements and constellational cycles, right? Of course, in their country, they worship, they have Ketsil or Quetzal, right? And then they have Shak as the rain god, and then they have Ekbalam as a female wizard. Right, but all these are a part of what? There's cycles of the seasons and how they do it, right? And just like a seasonal cycle comes on a year, right, on their cycles, when you start going towards their pyramids, right, when you see when the shadow passes and hits the serpent on the side of the pyramid, that it brings in their new year. Right, say a new spring solstice, a new spring rain, which allows them to have plants and fruits that they may be able to eat. And everybody, how you says, desires spring, rain, and water. And if it don't come, nobody's gonna be able to eat. Right? So people give offerings to things, to gods and other gods, to get rain and snow. But we know rain and snow comes from the highest Shamayim. So when we look at just like Yeshayahu 55, he said, have you not heard, have you not seen? Just like in Yeshayahu chapter 40, or Isaiah 40 and Isaiah 50, he said, does not wisdom drop on like water? Like rain, as rain and snow come down from the Shamayims. So it gives bread to the eater and seed to the sower. So shall the bar be that goes out of my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish what I sent it to do, because the rain and snow was created by Yahuwah. And it was given to us by Yahuwah, right? And that's why a lot of these, how you say, constellations are being worshipped, because they forgot that Yahuwah gives the rain and snow. Yahuwah gives the actual rain and snow that they may be able to grow crops. When you go all the way to the beginning, he said, as above, so below. He said, I put all of the chariots and all of the 7 celestial circles in their motion. Amazingly, they put it in the circle, right? And even all of the stars are in the circle, right? All these are a part of it, right? So this is what they call Orion's belt, the 3 pyramids. This is the illustration of it, right? But notice, even with the Mayan machine calendar, what do you see with Orion, right? They always have it with a bow and arrow in their hand. Right, as we did talk about before, it talks about mighty hunters, right? Because hunting and gathering was the actual trade, so that one can survive, right? Just like any other thing, you got the spring. When it's wintertime, you can't really do that. But when it's summertime and springtime, you can hunt and gather. That's why they use the symbol of the bow and arrow. Why? Because it's the time to hunt. That's why they call themselves the mighty hunter, the mighty rebel, the mighty hunter, Nimrud, the mighty hunter. Why? Because who formed Sumer? Who formed ancient Sumer? And what did they worship? They followed astrology. They followed the actual movement cycles of the constellations. And the mighty hunter appeared. Right. The mighty hunter appeared. So, of course, you know, 3 pyramids. They say it goes on, they say about Orion's belt, and you got the 4 stars that surround Orion's belt. But notice it has 4 stars. They say, who can loose the belt over Orion? Kitsil, and they have 4 stars around, right? But then you also just read in the before creation, it said what? The Shamash shall mean Shala the day, and the Yirak, the great lesser light, shall mean Shala the night, and the stars also he made. And these are the stars also, right? As above, so below. And you see the Shemesh and the Yark as people. And the Kukubim, they're all people, right? So the word for Sa, right? Look at this word Sa. It was an Egyptian god of ancient Egyptian religion, representing a constellation that encompassed the stars of Orion and Lepus, as well as stars found in the neighboring modern constellation. Sa was the father of the gods, right? Sa was the father of the gods, which was the personification of modern Orion and Lepus constellations. So you look at Sa as a father of gods, and also they put it here as a Orion and Lepus. Orion is a prominent set of stars visible during winter time in the northern celestial hemisphere. Right? It is one of 88 modern constellations. It was among 48 constellations listed in the 2nd century. Astronomer Ptolemy is named as the Ptolemy. It is named for a hunter. A hunter. Orion is the most prominent during winter evenings. It says, and are five other constellations that have stars in the winter hexagon asteroid. So you look at Orion as the hunter. They call it the hunter star. the 100 star clusters that represent those star clusters in the four stars that surround Orion's belt. Just like you got, just like the body of a man, and it has a bow and arrow, and that bow and arrow represents what? The hunter, the mighty hunter. Orion represents the mighty hunter. It's like Nimrod, the mighty hunter. Right? Nimrod, the mighty hunter. Right? This is right here in verse 33. Can you lead forth Mazzaroth in their season? You can't bind or Adonai the chains of Pleiades. You can't loose the cords of Orion, both male and female, both human beings. Right? Both arrogant and proud human beings. They think they can remove the cords of Orion. They think they can actually bind the chains of Pleiades. Because human beings worship the sun, moon, and the stars. They shakatu. They worship the sun, moon, and the stars. They follow their lead. But he said, can you lead forth the Mazzaroth in their season? So who is supposed to lead the children of Yasharal and Yehuda? Yahuwah was supposed to lead children of Yasharal and Yahuwah, but if you allow the stars to lead you, he's like, why? Because it doesn't allow you to actually get your life right. It doesn't allow your life to be transformed into what you need to be. He says, he says, can you lead forth Mazzaroth in their season? Can you guide the bear in his children? And we're from, he said, the Mazzaroth in Hebrew is the constellations. It means distinction. So people are you being influenced by the Pleiades, and are you being influenced by Mazzaroth and Orion? Right, Mazzaroth, the zodiacs. Right, you're looking at the zodiacs, the constellations. It's are you being influenced by the constellations? Because remember, Sa, we just talked about, Orion means the father of gods. And it's named as what? Orion's belt. The star cluster in Orion's belt. They call it Sa. The Egyptians call it, but in Mizraim, they call it the Sa, the father of gods. So this is, they say, what are the 12 zodiacs, right? Right, so if you look at the 12 zodiacs, the word zodiac comes from the Greek language. It means the circle of small animals. The circle of small animals. We just talked about the celestial circles. Matter of fact, we talk about Kagag during Sukkah when he tells us to Kagag and rejoice and dance in a circle. Rejoice in procession. Right? And it says fair enough. As almost all the constellations of the zodiac. In astronomy, the zodiac is the name of celestial zones around the ecliptic, the trajectory of the sun across the sky as seen on the earth. Although the sun actually passes through 13 constellations, in the Western astrology, there are 12 signs of the zodiac. So what are the 12 signs of the zodiac? Right? Why did I put Taurus first? Because Taurus appears in the first month, in the first quarter. It's the Atlas above all the stars and the other planets. But it said right here, you got Taurus, Aries, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Then you have what? Yehuda, Roban, Gad, Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh, Shamu'un, Louis, Yessakar, Zabulun, Yehusuf, and Benjamin. Shall I, your mother, and the 11 stars bow down to worship you? Right, because when you look at even that word in the 11 stars, you go to Hebrew, it actually means Ishar. It means 10 stars. So the 10 stars bow down and worship you. But then you look at all these transitions, and it says what? He said they all travel around in a circle. They call them the circle of animals, because all the animals are in a circle around the sun. They all in a circle, and they move in a circle around the sun. Right? Just like any other thing. Right? But they moving around in a circle around the sun. Right? And they all move in procession. They call them the circle of animals that move around the sun. Right? So Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Leo, Virgo, and Cancer. They all move around the sun. They all move around the sun. they all move around the sun, right? So they all move around the sun. And guess what? And by doing this procession, it becomes a movement of animals around the sun. And just like when it moves around the sun, you start to see why the Shemesh rules by day and the Yak moves by night. And he said, Mim Shala the day, and the Yak Mim Shala the night. And you see how each procession they move around the sun. And even nature, even the animals that were created on the 5th day of creation, in the 4th day of creation, understand this. Right? You see the fish moving in procession around each other in a vortex, in a whirlwind. You see the animals moving around in a circle, in a vortex, in a whirlwind. And why doesn't human beings do that? Because they hate Yahuwah. Male and female, you hate Yahuwah. He said you hate his feast days, they hate his Kagag, they hate his Muaz, and you're not joyful. Why? Because they hate him. They hate him because he's more intelligent. Because Yahuwah is more intelligent than all of us, and Yahushua is more intelligent. That's why we hate him. Right? But this right here, right, you look at all this, right, we look at everything that we do, like all this is important. Right? All this is important. Right? But everything that we do is, right, so you see these animals, right, I know my video not working, but it's not even working. But yeah, so these animals move in procession in a circle, right? They're all moving in procession in a circle. And by moving in a procession in the circle, it creates, how you say, the very signs of the zodiac. And by doing all of this, they're like animals marching around in the circle, right? And by doing this, it allows, how you say, as above, so below. Just like we just talked about before, they talk about the zodiacs moving in a circle. But as above, so below. They do the same thing on earth. They do the same exact thing. The same exact thing. And by doing the same exact thing, it allows what? It allows things to, how you say, manifest in the world. And you start to see as above, so below. And you see the same thing with Jacob and his sons as above, so below. You see the thing when he punished Adam as above, so below. And then now you see the animals moving in a procession as above, so below. And it's perfect. And it's accurate. And they don't even move outside of it. Right? So right here you see the animals, I hit the button, but it's starting to move. Right? So you see the animals moving in a circle. They're moving in procession around each other. Just like the zodiac. You talk about marching animals around each other. Just around the sun. They're moving around the sun. They move that way. All the animals move that way. You say, why would they do that? Because it's as above, so below. Just like the constellations, the zodiacs, just like all the things you see in the cosmos, the animals are in tune. They're in that frequency. They're in that vibrational frequency. So when he tells us that Kagag rejoice and move in procession, it is a point to where he's trying to show you as above, so below. As above, so below, because the sun moves on the 7 celestial circles. It moves according to this procession. And he's telling us to do the same thing. They say, who are they giving praise to by doing it? The one who gave the 7 celestial circles. The one who gave them food. The one who gave them rain. Because you think the animals forgot who made all this? The animals ain't forget. Human beings have forgotten. Human beings have forgotten this. right? So you look at the 12 tribes, right? So you look at Yaakov, who was, how you say, the Shamash. Then you see Leah, who was the how you say, that's hatred. That's literally what it is. Because why? Because hatred birthed all those children. She had 6 children because she was hated. They say he saw that she wasn't loved. She was loved less than Rachel. Notice you got Leah, you got hatred here, but she bore Reuben, Shamuan, Louis, Yehuda, Yisachar, and Zabulon. Then you got Zilpah. What is that? What she represents? Zilpah represents rivalries. She represents rivalries because they had a rival. And being that the rivalries created 2 other kids, Gad and Asher. Then you have Bilhah, that's another rivalry. So you got hatred, rivalries. You got Dan and Naphtali. That was born through the rivalries of that. Then you got Rachel. Who was Rachel? An idol worshiper. She was beautiful. So you got idols, rivalries, and hatred. And guess what she bore? Yusuf and Benjamin. And guess who? Shall I, your mother? Notice he made all the 4 wives he had, 1 mother, 1 Yirak. 1 Yirak. And guess what happens? 12 sons. 12 sons, 12 constellations, 12 zodiacs, 4 transition times. 4 women, 4 transition times, 4 day of creation. When he started the celestial movements. Shall I, your mother, and your 12 and your brothers bow down and worship you? All at the same time. So you got hatred, rivalries, and idols, and you got your code telling them to put away your idols, and we're gonna go to Bethel. Why? Because we getting ready. You got to go put away all your idols from your heart, and your mind, and in your possession. Why? Because the Shamash rules by Yom, and the Yirak rules by day. And guess what? Yakaziel, Ezekiel says in Ezekiel 16. He said, "Son of Adam, these men and women have set up their idols in their heart." He said they all turned their stubborn shoulder, that they will not hear. He said they ain't gonna hear. Why? Lest they hear with their eyes, lest they hear with their ears, understand with their heart, and see with their eyes, and Yahuwah will heal them, and they will be converted. He will heal you. People saying, why would he say that? So we look at the first quarter. They call it a quarter moon. Then they got waxing crescent. They put new moon, but it's just a new transition. It says waning, last quarter, waning, full moon, gibbous. So full moon is when the sun is directly in front of the moon. No moon is when the sun is behind the moon. Right? So you got the first quarter when the sun is traveling, and the fourth quarter. Right? And then you got in-betweens. You got waxing and waning. Right? And these are according to the cycle even of a woman itself. And then what happens with that? Notice these 4. First quarter, new moon, last quarter, fourth quarter. How many wives did he have? Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, and Rachel. And what happens? They become all one. They're just 1 Yirak. This is 1 Yirak. But in that side of Yirak that Yaakov had, hatred, rivalries, and idols. That was in it. So this is a solar eclipse. And the solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the sun and the earth. So it's in between the sun and the earth, casting the moon's shadow on the earth, right? So everybody's looking forward to it, but then you start to see, notice the times that we're in. And the solar eclipse can only happen during a new moon, what they would call a no moon. What they would call when the moon is dark. The moon orbits entitles 5 degrees to the earth orbit around the sun, right? That's what they say. Right, so you look at when the moon is directly in the middle of the moon, right, in between the earth and the sun. When the moon is directly between the earth and the sun, or you say in between the earth and the sun, and guess what happens? You create a new moon. It's an eclipse. There's an eclipse. There's an eclipse. Right, so this is, we keep going. The case says, can you guide the bear with his children? Can you guide the bear with his children? It says Aish. It says a constellation bear, a great bear. A great bear, that's Arcturus. Arcturus, the great bear. He said, what? Can you guide the bear? Would you want to go outside and guide a bear? Like just say, hey bear, come on, let's go. Take it by the hand. We talked about a bear last week, eat the honey. Would you grab a bear by the hand and take it down the street? Take it with you? Would you bring her children with you? Would you bring a bear and her cubs with you and let her follow you around? Yahuwah said, I'd do it. He says, can you guide the bear with his children? Would you guide a mama bear with her cubs? Yahuwah said, I'd do that. He's like, nah, I ain't gonna go do that, man. That's crazy. You touch a bear cub, you know what's gonna happen to you? Yahuwah said, can you do that? He said, do you know the ordinances of the Shamayim, right? That great bear, he said, Aish, it means it's great bear, constantly Arcturus, right? So we look at Ursa Major. Right, we talk about, it says, can you guide the great bear and her children? Right, so Arcturus, which is this large star, travels with these constellations. He was like, can you guide the great bear and her children? Can you move Arcturus and all her stars to their position? As above, so below. You was like, I did all that. Everything's from above. I can move stars. I can make eclipses. I can allow things to move. I can allow Smeshku in the yard to come from the Meshikan people, for the Maya people. I can move the actual quarter of Orion. I can remove it out of its place. I can bind the sweet influences of Pleiades. I can do that. Right, so you look at the constellations, right? You look at, he said he called it the Great Bear, Ursa Minor, or they say Ursa Major. Right, they call it Ursa Major. Yeah, some Ursa Major, so you can see these names in the earth. People have these names. Talitha. Well, we just talked about Talitha, the Lord. Remember we talked about Talitha, the lower spring? He said, my father, when he conquered Chdsh, he said, give me the lower spring and the upper spring. And that word for lower spring was Talitha. Right, you got right here, you got M40. Right, people have music groups called M40. Right, you got all these things, right? Helix, Galaxy. You got Mizar, Phocidia, Metagres, Alcor, right? Pinwheel Galaxy, Sunflower Galaxy, Whirlpool Galaxy, Tania Borealis, Tania Australis. And people wonder why, as above, so below. Why would you call a country Australia? He said, as above, so below. But everything's from above. People from below think it comes from they think they made it. But all these are a part of the constellations of the people, as well as human beings, and as well as the actual lights in the sky. And he made it all for us. To do what? Right? This is Ursa Major. Ursa Major, also known as the Great Bear, is a constellation in the northern sky, which is associated with, it's a mythology like dates prehistoric. The Latin name means greater or larger bear, referring to the contrasting it with nearby Ursa Minor, the lesser bear. So we got the greater bear and the lesser bear. Just like we had the Shemesh in the yard, you had the Shemesh, Mim Shala, Ma'or, Mim Shala, Yerat, Ma'or, Mim Shala. Greater and lesser, or we just talked about last week. Lesser light, or give me the upper and lower springs. So you have a lesser, you have a major, and you have a minor. Right, so I have a major and a minor for the actual time, for the actual constellations. Then you start to understand this on the level that it needs to be understood. Ursa Major is also known as the Great Bear. It's the third largest constellation in the sky and the largest constellation in the northern hemisphere. Just like Pleiades appears, or Orion appears in late winter in the sky. And it says right here, it's the largest constellation in the northern hemisphere. It includes the Big Dipper. You know how people say the Big Dipper? Right, you can see it in the sky. They got the 4 stars with the little. It says Asterine, Big Dipper Asterine, and it's one of the most recognizable collection of stars in the northern hemisphere. So you got Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. So you got Upper Bear, the Major Bear, and the Lower Lesser Bear. That's like a bear cubs. Right? We just talked about can you move? Can you take the Big Bear and the Lower Bear and her cubs? Can you take Ursa Major and Ursa Minor? Can you take the Great Bear and move them around in the sky? By the hand? Can you do that? Can you move the constellations? Right? So you look at Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, but then you gotta look at Ursa Major and Ursa Minor keys on the chord, on a guitar string. Because they give out sound vibrational frequencies, and those sound vibrational frequencies allows things to create. And just like we're made out of sound vibrational frequency, our human bodies, as Mim Shala and Yilak and the Kukab, the same thing when it comes to the stars, the Shemesh and the Yard are made out of sound vibrational frequency. And that sound vibrational frequency has major chords and minor chords. And those major chords and minor chords create stars. So you have a big star and you have a little star. That's a minor chord on the vibrational frequency. When Yahuwah creates, he creates a minor frequency star. It's smaller though. Then you have a larger frequency. Just like the sun is 7 times brighter than the moon. It's a larger frequency. The same thing when you comes to ruling the day and the night. Those are lesser frequencies. Night is a lesser frequency than the light frequency. Or frequency. That's why the greater light, the greater frequency comes from above, and it was made on the first day of creation. He sent it on the first day of creation. That frequency vibration is greater than the 4th day creation frequency. Right, so the major key, you play the guitar. If anybody ever master the instrument, you have 8 chords. You have eight. I said major chords and minor chords. If you position your fingers properly on the key, on the the neck on the actual, like I said, whether it's a cello, a cello, or a acoustic guitar, a 10-string guitar, a 12-string guitar. When you position your fingers properly, you produce a sound. Right, so you got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And you got A minor, B minor, C minor, D minor, E minor, F minor, G minor, right? So all these are a part of the moving out of the normal way of thinking into a totality way of thinking. Right? And each chord produces a sound. And each one produces a vibrational frequency. Just like hertz frequency. I go from 440 hertz to 432 hertz to 828 hertz to 528 hertz. All these are a part of the actual changing of alignment. Just like piano keys. Same thing. Or a pipe organ. Same thing. Everything produces a frequency. If you throw a rock on the ocean, it'll make a sound. If you throw a rock and skip it on the water, it makes a sound. Even the animals have a sound, and the insectoids have a sound. And they sound off at night, and nobody tells them to shut up. The only thing they tell people to shut up is human beings. But they don't tell them insects to shut up. Right? All that's a part of it. But each one gives off a sound vibration of frequency. And by doing that, that's how you start to understand lesser light, greater light, lesser light, Ursa Major, lesser major, and you have what? You have Arcturus and its children. The children are lesser lights, and you have the big star moving in the sky. Same thing with Orion. Those are greater lights than the ones that are around it in the constellation of Orion. But he said, I can move it, I can break it, and I can move them around. I can guide them. Can you do that? Yahuwah's like, can you do that? Right? This is Shemuth, Exodus 12, 1-6. Yahuwah said to Moshe and Aaron, in the land of Mizraim, this is the month, shall be for you the beginning of months. It shall be the first of the month of the year for you. He said, tell the congregation of Yasharal on the 10th day of this month, every man shall take a lamb according to their father's house, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, then he and the nearest neighbor shall take according to the number of the persons, according to what each can eat. You shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of a year old. So that's one full cycle of a year. 364 days. The lamb has to be a full 364 years old. Notice how we're doing this after a full 364 days. He says, you may take it from the sheep or from the goats. and ye shall keep it until the 14th day of this month, when the whole Aydah of the congregation, the Yasharal, shall kill the lamb at twilight. Right? So he killed the what? The lamb. That word for lamb is Sa. Like we just talked about Orion. Orion appears in late winter. And the word for Sa is what? The father of gods in Egyptian culture. It is a father of gods. And what happens? The Sa is a what? A lamb. Of the flock. A goat. A sheep goat. A lamb. Notice how they put the Sa as the father of gods. The lamb is the father of the gods. Who's the father of the gods? The lamb. Then notice when you add up Sa, what happens? You got the Shin, the Ha, which equals to 305, which equals to 8. And we know what 8 means. Yahuwah and his Dabar. But they have the Sa as the father of the gods. That's why we were talking about Orion that appeared. He said, can you loose the cords of Orion? He said, I can do it. Don't worry about it. I can loose the cords of Orion. But he said, every man take a lamb. There's a reason why they're killing this lamb in Israel. He said, every man take a lamb. Right? That word, he said, for twilight is a reb. Just like we talked about in the beginning, a reb, bakar, akadium. It means evening, evening time. Evening time, at sunset. Because we went from what? How we count our time? Evening to evening, night to night. And there's a sun in the middle of it. There's a sun in the middle of two nighttime. And guess what? Who rules by night? The Yerak. So you got a Yerak, but in the midst of those two Yeraks, you have a sun that shines. And it says right here, evening time, twilight, evening time. Right? So this is the Aramaic Palestinian Targums. Bu'al Pharaoh, section 15. And it says, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and Aharon in the land of Mizraim, saying, this month is ordained to be the beginning of months, and from it you shall begin the number of your festivals and the times and cycles. We're not talking about the cycles. We're talking about, because when we counted from the first day, from the equinox to the first day, counting until the fourth day to get to the first day of creation, we now move into these cycles, right? And we're on the 11th day of this same month. He says, it shall be to you the first of the beginning of the number of the months of the year. Right? Speak to all the congregation of Yasharal, saying, on the 10th of this month, on the 10th of this month, whose time is appointed for this time occasion and not for coming generations. So this ain't for coming generations. This lamb that you're getting ready to kill, this father of gods, this Sa. Not for coming generations, they shall take a lamb for a house. But if the men in the house are fewer than 10 in number, in portion to a sufficient number to eat the lamb, and he and his neighbor who is nearest to his house shall take according to the number of the souls, each man according to the sufficiency of his casting shall be counted for the lamb, and the lamb shall be perfect, a male, a son of a year he shall be to you. So that's a full 364 days. That's 13. So you add 3 plus 6 plus 4 equals 13. He said they got to be a year old, perfect without blemish. Perfect. And guess what the lamb is? A virgin. The lamb is a virgin. It is a virgin lamb. From the sheep or from the goats you may take it, and it shall be bound and reserved for unto you until the 14th day of this month, that you may know the fear of Mizraim when they see it. It said that you may not know the fear of Mizraim when they see it, and ye shall kill him according to the right of all the congregation of the assembly of Yasharal between the sons, right? Because you know the sun. All these things take place in between the horizons. In between the horizons. In between the horizons. of the sun when it comes out of the horizon and goes down into your horizon. It's continued on, verse 12, 7 through 3. Going from ESV version, that was the Aramaic Targum version, back to the ESV. And it says, then they shall take some of the blood and put it on the two doorposts, on the lintels of the house in which they eat it. They shall eat the flesh that night. He said, because you got to do it in between the sun. So when the sun goes down, he said, it's time to do it. Because the sun goes down, the moon rules, and then the sun comes back up, and then it comes back down. And then he said, evening and evening. You got 2 evenings you got to do it in. You got to do it in between the sun. But he's saying you got to do it immediately at night. As soon as the sun goes down, it's time to do it. Roast it on the fire with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. You shall eat it. Do not eat any of it raw or boiled in water, but roast it, its head with its legs and its inner parts. And you shall let none of it remain until the morning. So he wants you to do it at night, and don't even let it, when the sun come out of the horizon, he said it shouldn't even be there. It should be done. You got to stay on the timeline. People saying, why you got to stay on the timeline? Because it's a reason. Because if you don't, you're going to be off, and you're going to understand nothing. It says, anything that remains until the morning shall be burned. You ain't going to understand nothing. There's a reason why it's going to be burned in the daytime. There's a reason why it's going to be burned in the daytime, but it has to be taken at night. It says, in this manner you shall eat it, with your belts fastened. Your belt. So what does Saw mean? Saw mean lamb, but also in Mizraim it means what? Father of the gods. He said, can you loose the bands of Orion? The belt of Orion? Oranos? Your sandals on your feet and your staffs in your hand. Can you loose the belt of Orion? And your makal in your hand and your sandals on your feet? And guess what it says? And you shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuwah's Pesach, for I will pass through the land of Mizraim, the children of Ham. I'm passing through the children of Ham's land, and guess what I'm doing? That night, I'm coming that night. And I will strike the firstborn of the land of Mizraim, both man and beast, and on all the gods of Mizraim. That's all of them. That's Orion, Osiris, that's on Hathor, that's on all the gods that were there. Cleopatra, all of them. Tahuti, all of them. He said, I'm gonna take them all down. Why? And I will execute judgment. Why is it Yahuwah executing judgment? I am Yahuwah, because everybody worshiping the gods. That's the only reason he's taking them down. Because people are worshiping you. So if you don't want Yahuwah to take you down, you need to tell people to start worshiping you. That's the whole point. You need to tell people, don't worship me. Because if you don't, Yahuwah going to take you down. He said, all the gods of Mizraim. He said, the blood shall be a sign for you. For you. In the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over. He said, Yahuwah said, I'm going to pass over. And no plague will befall you or destroy you when I strike the land of Mizraim. He's like, I'm going to do it. Wherever these gods are during this time, he said, I'm going to take them all down. Verse 23, skipping to verse 23. And Yahuwah Elohim will pass through and strike the Mizraim, the children of Ham, and Sumer. And when he sees the blood of the lintel on the two doorposts, Yahuwah will pass over the door and will not allow the destroyer to enter into your house to strike you, into your body to strike you, because you ain't got no gods in your house. So if you got a gods in your house, he's gonna, even if you take to Pesach, you got gods in your mind, in your heart, he's gonna allow the actual demons to come inside of your body. Because one doesn't believe, he gonna have the demons come in your body because you don't have the blood, you don't believe, and therefore he gonna have them into your house during this time. And he's going to destroy you. Because the Shadim has a power. He said, so if I believe, and I have the blood, and if I don't have no gods on the inside of me, and I don't got no gods in Mizraim, or any gods in my mind, other gods in my heart. He's saying that he won't allow the demon to enter my body when I take the Pesach. And it won't kill me. Because when Shaul told us, he said, many of you are asleep, some are sick, and some have died because they ate of it unworthily. And we're not talking about no natural food. He said they ate it unworthily. Why? Because they still had gods in their heart. They still had the gods and the other beings and the other things that they were worshiping in their heart. And that's why the destroyer came and destroyed them, or sent the sicknesses on their body and all the things in their life. He said, who is that? Right? The word for destroyer is shakah. It means to destroy. That's what's going to happen if you have them inside of your body and take Pesach and you're unworthy. It's going to corrupt you. It's going to ruin you. It's going to decay. It's going to cause your body to decay from the inside out. It's going to pervert you. It's going to make you corrupt, make you ruined. It's going to waste you. It's going to make you rotten. And if you come rotten, you're going to have rotten fruit. It's going to pervert you. That's what the destroyer is going to do if one has gods in their heart, in their mind, in their house. He said, if you don't have the blood on you and you don't believe, and you don't have these gods out of your heart, in your mind, in your house, he going to what? He going to allow the destroyer to come in and get inside of your body. And he going to make you decay from the inside out. And you might die. You might get sick. You might get weak. And it says, destroyer, corrupter, acted corruptly. He said, they're going to make you waste away, right? This is the who is Pesach. The word for Pesach is what? It's to pass over. I'm going to pass over you, which means I ain't going to allow this destroyer demon, the Shadim, I'm not going to allow it to enter your body, because I'm going to allow it to go over you, because everything comes from above. Because Yahuwah is in control over it. Just like he in control of the constellations, Pleiades, the Quetzal, the Kima, the Great Bear, right? He can bank the bands of Orion. He can do all that. And he can allow that demon to pass over you. You got your blood on you and inside your heart. But he said that Sa is the father of gods. But it say right here, Pa, so you got add up Pesach, you got the Pa, the Samach, and the Kat. The Pa is 80, the Samach is 60, and the Kat is 8. Which equals to 148, which equals to what? 13. Which equals to 13. And what happens with that? A full, it needs to be a year old. The Pesach needs to be a year old, a perfect animal of a year old, 364 days. A child that was born during the 307 celestial circles, who was here, who was actually formed and shaped that way. It has to be that way. And that lamb has to be just like that. And the lamb was killed after a year old, in the first month, after the 364, which means it was killed on the days of on the month it was born. But it had to be killed. If he killed it any lesser than that, he had to kill it then. He had to kill it. Because he couldn't go past a year old. And if it went from a year to 2, then they'd be like, oh man, that's not 2 years, a year and a month. He said, you got to kill this lamb in haste. You got to do it real quick. Because if you don't do it fast, man, it's going to be a year and such and such months. You got to do it quick. You can't wait all the way to the end. Because it has to be precise. Right? So this is the book of Enoch 8 and 1 through 9. Moreover, Azazel taught men to strike, to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates and fabrication of mirrors. Mirror, mirror on the wall. They want you to look at yourself all day. But it says, in the workmanship of bracelets and ornaments, in the use of paint, and beautifying the eyelids, and the use of stones, and very valuable select kinds, and all sorts of dyes, so that the world may become altered. Why? Because man, when we get things, we take it to the next power. I call it putting your special sauce to it. We take it and we start worshiping. Oh, bracelet. Oh, ornament. Oh, mirror. Right, we start going crazy. And the whole world been altered. Why? Because now everybody focuses on that. They ain't thinking about Yahuwah and the Hayat Shammai anymore. Guess what it says? Verse 2 said, and piety increased, fornication multiplied. Isn't that what happened in the world? And they transgressed and corrupted all their ways. Why do you think congregations and places you go do this? People that say they believe in Yahuwah, or people who do this, Why do you think people do these things? Why do you think people say all these things? Why do you think all these things increase in your life? It has nothing to do with how you say what you're thinking. People saying, why is it increasing in my life? Why are all these desires? Why is this thing increasing in my life? Why I got demons inside of me? Why all this? Because you got gods on the inside of you. You got other gods on the inside of your heart. Verse 3 says, and Amazar taught all the sorcerers and the dividers of roots. Armors taught the solutions of sorcery. Barakal taught observers of the stars. Akiel taught signs. Tamiel taught astronomy. Why were they teaching these things? Because once man learned it, they forgot about Yahuwah himself. They forgot about Yahushua himself. They forgot about the one who made all things from above. Now the people on the earth think they did it. They think they did it. So you did all that. Because you got your astronomy teaching, so you think you made the Shaman there. Because you know about the constellations and you think you're part of the cosmos. You think you did it. Why? Because you got 12 tribes and you made the Kukabim in the Yark. He said I got the Yark and the Shamash. Y'all think y'all made it? Because y'all got the 12 tribes. Y'all like the 12 zodiacs on the earth. Because y'all got the Shemesh Kukabim in the Yark. So you can represent and be light on earth. Because you think you made it? Because you got but yet you in your heart you got all these different other beings in your heart. And you getting ready to take my basar. You getting ready to partake of my things. But yet you got all that in your heart. Verse 8 says, Al-Saral taught the motions of the moon. We just talked about the motion of the moon. Not for the purpose to worship it. To show how the lesser lights don't rule over the greater light on the first day of creation. And the light that exists above that light on the first day of creation, there's a light greater than that light. And that light is in the highest Shamayim, and it's 10,000 times brighter than any light. It says, and men being destroyed cried out, they were being destroyed. Because you know why they were being destroyed? Just like we talked about, don't let the destroyer come in you, and he gonna pass over you. They were being destroyed because all those were their gods on the inside of their heart. That's their gods. That became their worship. And guess what happened? And they cried out. Why did they cry out? Isn't that what they did in Mizraim? Their cries came to Yahuwah's ear. Why? Because the gods were oppressing them. The people who follow these teachings, the children of Ham and Sumer and Cain and Nimrod, the mighty hunter, Orion's belt, the mighty hunter, the Mashiach God, he said the mighty hunter, Quetzal, and all the other beings, right? He said they were being oppressed by him. How you saying? They were following these beings. And guess what? They started to cry because they had these gods in their heart. And being that they had these gods in their heart, Yahuwah was destroying them. And he's saying, get the gods out your heart. Get them out of your mind and your thoughts. Stop worshiping them. Worship me. It says, and their voice reached to the Shamayim. He's like, man, I'm hearing them. They crying now. They crying out to me. They're praying. They're confessing. They're praying. They're confessing. They're confessing their sins. And they worship these gods. They're pouring out their heart. I can hear their cry. I can hear them. I can hear them. They're repenting. The harvest is becoming right. I can hear them. The harvest is becoming right. That's the only reason. Right? This book of Jubilees, 49, volume 2, 49 through 1 through 3. Remember the commandment which Yahuwah commanded you concerning the Pesach, that you observe it in its time, on the 14th day of the first month. That's what they say. Because you got to do it between the sun. But it says, so that you might sacrifice it before it becomes evening. Because you got to do it in between the suns. And so that you might eat it during the night. You got to do it right at night. On the evening of the 15th from the time of sunset. They put 15th in here. Why would they do that? To throw your behind off. As soon as you read this, boy, I got to do it on the 15th. You know why they do that? Because that's what they do. Because they knew if they alter it one time, you're going to mess around, you're going to be outside, and the destroyer is going to kill you. Because you ain't going to do it in haste. Because he knows. He knows it. You already know it. That's why they do it. That's how fast they give it. He's like, man, the destroyer gonna get in my heart. I'm gonna have something in my heart. I'm gonna be off, and I ain't gonna be doing it the right time. Here comes the man. He says, for on this night there was the beginning of the feast, and there was the beginning of joy. You continue eating the Pesach in the land of Mizraim, and all the powers of Mastama. Oh, he said, who said, I'm gonna pass over you. I'm allowed to pass over you. So you telling me the Mastama, Satan, Satana, and his powers is sent from Yahuwah? And that's Yahuwah himself? Yep. The powers of Mastama were sent to kill all the firstborn of the land of Mizraim. No, they were all the firstborn now. Amazingly, you're supposed to kill the lamb too, Achad. And then, in Mizraim, they call it the father of gods. He said, you got to kill that lamb. You got to kill it, because he ain't the father of gods. That little lamb they got, that ain't the father of gods. And says, we're sent to kill the firstborn of the land of Mizraim, from the firstborn of Pharaoh to the firstborn of the captive maid, who was at the mill of the stone in the cattle. Amazingly, Yahuwah says, quickly break down the idols and the gods, right? Amazingly, he said, kill the lamb fast. And the Mizraim called it the father of the gods. They said, you're supposed to take it from the sheep and the goat. Amazingly, people use a goat. Book of Jubilees, the rule to Abraham. And in the 35th year, Jubilee of the third week, the first year thereof, Reu took himself a wife, and her name was Orah, the daughter of the son of Chesed. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Serah, and Serug in the 7th year, the week of the Jubilee. And the sons of Nuat began to war with each other. Who causing that? To take captive and to slay each other, and to shed blood of men on the earth. Isn't that what they're doing today? And eat blood, and build strong cities and walls. Isn't that what they're doing today? And towers. You know what they're doing today? And individuals begin to exalt themselves above the nation. You know what they're doing today? And to be found, beginning of kingdoms, and to go to war, people against people, nation against nation, city against city. And they all began to do evil and acquire arms, and to teach their sons war. Look at my 40 cal clip. My AK-47, my AR-7. Let me overthrow the government. He said they started to do that. And they began to capture cities. Man, what'd you say to me? Cow. Isn't that what they're doing in Haiti? You know what they're doing around the world right now? People just rising up, just taking over cities. And sell male and female slaves. Isn't that what they're doing? People get sex trade, renditions, slave trade still happening underground, snatching people up. Male and female slaves for intercourse. And and the sons of Chesed built a city in Arad in the Chaldees and called its name after its name and the name of his father. And they made themselves molten images which they had made for themselves, and they began to make graven images of unclean simulacra, and malignant spirits assisted and seduced them in the committing of the transgressions and uncleanness. And they guess what these people want to do? They want to say, can I come to Pesach? Can I take the land? I want to be saved. Did you repent? Did you cry unto Yahuwah? Because if you ain't getting them gods out of your heart, you take it, you might get sick, you might even die. Matter of fact, you might become weak. And then the people who still got, he says, in just verse 5, and Prince Mastama exerted himself to do all this. He sent forth other spirits, those which were put under his hand, to do all manner of wrong and sin and all manner of transgression. So if you have somebody that's ugly, that want to have fornication and adultery with you, just understand that's a lower spirit. Right? Just like you got spirits that all these things that people see, a woman has a man come up there and say, let's sleep together. Let's just have intercourse and fornicate. That's the first line they say. That's a demon. That's a spirit. These are all spirits. These are all shadim. First thing they do, their eyes buck over, ooh. And they all talking all crazy to you. Why? Because that's a demon. They can't even stay over themselves. That's a demon. That's a spirit when it's hot. I'm flattered. And guess what happens? That spirit demon chose you, and they're going to visit you in the night because you received his words. And it became your God, and then now the demon coming in you, and you ain't got the blood of Yahushua on you no more, and then guess what? Yahuwah allowed the spirit to come inside of you. Because you don't believe anymore. Just that fast. this book of Jubilees, Old Testament, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 2, Nuach, Prayer to the Demons. In the third week, that Jubilee, the polluted demons began to lead astray the children of Nuach and the sons to lead them to folly and to destroy them. Isn't that what the destroyer going to do? So if you got other gods in your mind, who's like, I'm allowed to destroy, to pass over you. But if you got them in you, and you take this facade, some have become weak, some have died, and some have got sick. And said, and destroyed them. And the sons of Nuach came to Nuach, his father, and told him about the demons were leading astray, and binding and killing his grandchildren. And he prayed before Yahuwah, his Elohim, and he said, Elohim of the spirits of all flesh, who had acted mercifully with me and saved me and my sons from the water and the flood, and did not let the meat perish as you did the children of perdition, because the great was the Khan upon me, and great was your mercy upon my soul. Let Khan be lifted up upon my sons, and do not let the evil spirits rule over them, lest they destroy them from the earth. Why do you think he's going to send to destroy them? Because they rule it, and they rule in your heart and your mind, and you got them. And he's saying they're going to destroy you. Because Yahuwah said, I'm going to allow them to come through the land. And if you got them in your heart, and you take this facade, you ain't safe. You eat the blood of you beat the blood, you take it and you partake in it. But Barak my sons, and let us grow and increase and fill the earth. And you know that which your watchers, the fathers of these spirits, did in my days, and all these spirits which are alive, shut them up, and to take them to the shut them up and take them to the place of judgment. And do not let them cause corruption among the sons of your servants, O my Elohim, because they are cruel and they are created to destroy. They are created to destroy. And let them not rule over the spirits of the living, because you alone know their judgment, and do not let them have power over the children of the righteous henceforth and forever. It's a reason why. This is Exodus 8, 25 through 28. Then Pharaoh called Moshe and Aaron and said, go sacrifice to your Elohim within the land. But Moshe said, it will not be right to do so, for the offerings we shall sacrifice to Yahuwah our Elohim are an abomination to the Egyptians. If we sacrifice abominable to Mizraim, if our sacrifice offerings abominable to Mizraim before their eyes, will they not stone us? He's like, they gonna stone us? Our sacrifice is an abomination to Mizraim. And then when people wonder why, when Yahushua came on the scene, when he said, isn't that written in your Torah said you're Elohim? If he called you Elohim, and the word of Yahuwah came, the Torah can't be broken. He said, I am my follower. He said, they pick up the stones and try to stone him. They're like, what you talking about? Why? Because what he said was an abomination. It was an abomination for him to say he was Yahuwah's son in their sight. Why didn't they pick up stones and try to kill him? Because what he said was an abomination to them. Just like it's an abomination today, you tell people who they are, you tell people, you say, that's the son of Yahuwah. It's an abomination to people's ears. Verse 27, and guess what? If it's an abomination to their ears, that means they don't got the blood of Yahushua on them, and they don't believe, and then the destroyer comes, you take the Pesach, they're going to destroy you. It's going to make you weak. It may even make you sleep and never wake up again. Verse 27, we must go 3 days' journey in the wilderness to sacrifice of Yahuwah our Elohim, as he tells us. So Pharaoh said, we said we must go 3 days' journey in the wilderness and sacrifice to Yahuwah our Elohim, as he tells us. As he tells us. Right? So he's like, we got to go 3 day journey and sacrifice to Yahuwah our Elohim, as he tells us. So he's like, whatever Yahuwah tells us to do, that's what we're going to do. He said, and Pharaoh said, I will let you go to sacrifice to Yahuwah your Elohim in the wilderness. Only you must go very far away. You gotta go real far away from here. Because you can't be here. You gotta go real far away. Right? But he said, as he tells us. Because Pharaoh, in the same verse, he wanted to take their land. He said, you could leave, but leave your livestock. But what did he do? He said, it wouldn't be right for us to go up there without nothing. But guess what happened? He said, we're going to do it as he tells us, right? Yirmiyahu 7, 21 through 26. Thus says Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, add to your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, and eat flesh. For in the day I brought you out of the land of Mizraim, I did not speak to your fathers or command them concerning the burnt offerings and sacrifices. So when your Messiah said we're going to go into the wilderness to offer sacrifice to Yahuwah, as he tells us, he never told them to do it. He never told them to do it. And he sent prophets to let them know, I never told you that. And guess what he said? For in the day I brought them out of the land of Mizraim, I did not speak to your fathers or command them concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices. But this commandment I gave them, obey my voice. That's it. And I will be your Elohim, and you shall be my people, and walk in the way that I command you, that it may be well with you. But they did not obey or incline their ear, but walked in their own counsel, in their own stubbornness of their evil hearts. And you know they got evil hearts. How many? He said, you mess around, you take that pasat, or you eat his flesh and drink his blood unworthily. He said, you eat damnation to your soul. There's a destroyer coming. And went backwards. And what did they do? They went backward and not forward. For the day, says, from that day that your fathers came out of the land of Mizraim, to this day, I have persistently sent all my servants and Nabi'im to them day after day. Yet they did not listen to me or incline their ear, but stiffened their neck, and they did worse than their fathers. And that's the same thing that's happened to them, doing worse than your father. And he said, I never told you that. And he said, you're supposed to do as Elohim told you. But guess what? I never told you to eat flesh, and I never told you to offer no sacrifices. And amazingly, Pharaoh said, get out of here, far away, far away. He said, man, get out of here. Right? This Bereshit 31, 11 through 32. And the Malach of Yahuwah spake unto me in a dream, saying to Yaakov, I said, here I am. So this is Yahuwah speaking to him. He said, only thing I told you to do when I brought you out of Mizraim is obey my voice. That's it. And he said, and he lifted up, because when dreams happen? At night. When deep sleep fall upon men? At night. When we came out of Mizraim? At night. He said, eat it in haste at night. For this is Yahuwah's Pesach, because he coming at night. And he said, and he left and lifted up now his eyes and see all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring straight and speckled and gristled. For I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. I've seen all the things that Mizraim did unto you. And I Elohim, Yahuwah of Bethel, says, I am Elohim of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar, and where thou vowest a vow unto me. And now arise, get out of this land, and return to the land of thy kindred. Leave. Just obey my voice. And recall, and Leah answered and said unto him, is there yet any portion of the inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted to him as strangers? Man, we ain't got nothing. For he has sold us, and have quite devoured also our money. Like, this man be spending all our money, taking all our finances. For all the riches which Elohim hath taken from our father, this is ours, and our children's. Now then, whatsoever Elohim has said unto thee, do. He like, man, look at here. Man, they taking our money. They taking all our inheritance. They count us as strangers. He's like, man, that's what he said, man. We got to do this thing. He said, we got to do it. He said, we doing it. Then Yaakov rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels. He's like, let's go. And he carried away all his cattle and all his goods, which he had gotten, and the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Panaram, to go to Yitzhak his father in land of Canaan. And Laban went to the shear of his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. Notice. It's the same thing when they left Mizraim. When they left Mizraim, he told them to put away the gods of Mizraim from among you. He said, I'm going to pass over and I'm going to destroy everybody. And it won't enter your house. But somebody got an idol in their house. And Yaakov stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian. He did it unawares. In that he told him not, that he fled. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river. And he set his face toward the Mount Gilead, Mount Gilead, and it was told Laban on the third day that Yaakov was fled, and he took his brethren with him and pursued him 7 days' journey, and they overtook him in the mouth of Gilead. And Yahuwah came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night. And he said unto him, take heed what thou speak, not to Yaakov, good or bad. Why? Because we talked about recall. When the things of Yahuwah, he says what? What did Laban say? His brother, his mother, he's like, we can't speak good or bad. Anything of Yahuwah, you can't say anything. You better not. You better let your words be few. Then Laban overtook Yaakov. It says, now Yaakov had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brother pitched their tent in Mount Gilead. And Laban said to Yaakov, what hast thou done? Thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters and my captives taken by with sword. And then what Pharaoh did when they left Mizraim, he pursued them. You know why he was pursuing them? Because they got the gods. And they showed up. They still had the gods in their heart. They still had it. Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly, and steal away from me, and didst not tell me, that I might have sent thee away with mirth and songs and tabrets and harps? And hast thou not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters? Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing. And it says, it is in my power and in my hand to do you hurt. Man, I can kill you. Man, I can destroy you. The destroyer. Isn't that amazing? The destroyer. I can kill you. He's a demon. It's a demon. Yeah, I can destroy you. No, people say, how do you know when the spirit is speaking inside of another being? The same way when Yahuwah appeared in the dream, the spirit he was talking to, he said, make sure you don't say anything good or bad. But Yahuwah gave him power to kill. He said, man, Yahuwah got power over spirits and demons and Mastama and Satan and everybody. He's like, yep. Sorcerers and enchanters, yep. But Yahuwah, he said, but Yahuwah of our father spake unto me yesterday night. He's like, man, I got power to kill you. Amazingly, the destroyer had power to kill them. It would not enter their house. Saying, thou take heed that thou speak not to Yaakov either good or evil. And now thou wouldest need be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house. Yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? Somebody else, something. And guess what he said? I got power to kill, but Yahuwah told me, how you say, show him great calm. Show him grace. How you say? What they call another chance. Show them another chance. And Yaakov answered and said unto Laban, because I was afraid, for I said, peradventure thou wouldest take by force my daughters from me. With whomsoever thou findest thy Elohim, the gods, let him not live, let him die. There's the destroyer coming through. And the Pesach is 2 days away. And get what he said? He said, if you got the gods, he said, let you die. Why? Because he said, let him not live. Why would he say that? Before our brethren discern that thou what is in thine, before our brethren discern thou what is in thine with me, and take it to thee. For Yaakov knew not that Rachel had stolen them from them. She had them in her mind, and she had them in her possession. And they leaving out just like Mizraim though. Say you had them in their possession, right? But he said, obey my voice, and they did. Bereshit 26:1-5. Now, there was a famine in the land beside the former famine that was in the days of Abraham, and Yitzhak went to Gerar, and Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, and Yahuwah appeared to him and said, do not go down to Mizraim, dwell in this land which I tell you. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you. He said, don't go down to Mizraim. Don't go to the children of Han. He said, sojourn in this land, and I will barak you and bless you. So wherever Yahuwah speak to you, he said, man, be here, stay here, and I'm gonna barak you. And you believe it? That means you obey his voice. You're a good son and daughter. For to you and to your offspring I will give these lands, all these lands, and I will establish the oath that I swore to Abraham your father. And I will multiply your offspring as the stars of Shamaim, and I will give you your offspring all these lands. And if your offspring, it says, and if your offspring, it says, and in your offspring, all the nations of the earth shall be barak. because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my Torah, my laws. He kept my Torah. He kept my Torah. Because Abraham did it. He obeyed my voice. And Abraham obeyed my voice. That's the only reason. He obeyed my voice. That's it. Once he obeyed my voice, automatically he'll do everything else. He obeyed my voice. Jacob obeyed my voice, but somebody had something. Mashah and Aaron and everybody obeyed my voice, but they still had a minimum. He said, man, I'm allowed, but if you had a blood on you, I'm allowed the destroyer, Mustama, not to come inside of you. I'm allowed not to come inside of you. This is Bereshit 12, 1 through 9. Now Yahuwah said to Abram, now he's speaking to Abram, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you, and I will make you a great nation, and I will barak you and make your name great. So you will be a barak, and I will barak those who barak you, and to him who dishonors you, I will curse, and then all the families of the earth shall be barak. So Abraham went as Yahuwah had told him, and Lut with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. And Abraham took Sarai his wife, Lot his brother's son, and all the possessions that he had gathered, and the people that they had acquired in Haran. And they set out to go to the land of Canaan. When they came to the land of Canaan, Abraham passed through the land to the place of Shechem, to the Oak of Moreh. That it says, at that time the Canaanites were in the land. Then Yahuwah appeared to Abraham and said, to your offspring, I will give this land. So he built there an altar to Yahuwah, who had appeared to him. From there he moved to the hill country on the east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he built an altar to Yahuwah and called upon the name of Yahuwah. And Abram journeyed on, still going toward Negev. So you see Abram doing the very same thing, listening to Yahuwah's voice, and he's obeying his voice, and he went to the land where he was, and Nicole was in the same place, and even Yitzhak was in the same place by obeying his voice. And Mashah and Aaron was leading the people into the same place, and Miriam, and all of them were leading to the same place. But he said, when I brought him out of Mizraim, I never told him to do no animal sacrifices. And all this stuff you hear Yahuwah said, do you read anything about him telling them to do animal sacrifices? None of it. Right, there's a reason, right? This book of Yashar, this is 22 to 27, right? I'm gonna write down a chart, I'll put it in there. It says, in that time, Yahuwah said to Noah and Methuselah, stand forth and proclaim to the sons of men all the words that I spoke to you in those days. Peradventure, they may turn from their evil ways, and I will then repent of the evil that I will bring on it. And Noah and Methuselah stood forth and said in their ears of the sons of men, all that Yahuwah has spoken. He said, all that Yahuwah has spoken concerning them. But the sons of men would not hearken, neither would they incline their ears to all their declarations. And it was after this that Yahuwah said to Noah, the end will come upon all flesh. All flesh is come before me on the account of their evil deeds. And behold, I will destroy the earth. And do thou take unto thee gopher wood, and go to a certain place and make a large ark, and place it in that spot. And thus shall you make it 300 cubits in length, 50 cubits broad, and 30 cubits high. Right? He obeying Yahuwah's voice. And thou shalt make unto thee a door, open at its side, and to the cubit thou shalt finish above, and cover it within and without. Cover it within and without with pitch. He said, cover it within and without. When you saw the doorpost on the thing, he told him to put it on the outside. And he told him to eat the lamb. He told him to eat it. Eat the son. Right? The father of gods. Right? Why we do that? And behold, I will bring the flood upon the waters of the earth. Why? Because I'm going to pass over you. Passat. And all flesh will be destroyed. From other Shemaims that is on the earth shall perish. Come up, Passat you. And thou And thy household shall go and gather 2 couple of all living things, male and female, both Adam, Zakar and Akabah, both male and female. He's saying, right, male and female, male and female, male and female. He's like, I don't need no female. I said, okay, male and female. And thou shalt bring them to the ark, and raise up seed from them upon earth, and gather unto thee all the food that is eaten by the animals. Huh? In the day I brought you out of Mizraim, I ain't never spoke to you concerning the sacrificing of animals and eating flesh. I ain't never told you that. And there may be food for them and for thee and for them. What was the food he told Adam to do? Every plant and every fruit that has seed in it, you should have them for food. He said, I never spoke to them concerning no animal sacrifices and killing animals, eating flesh. I never told them to do that. He said, we're going to go sacrifice as Yahuwah tells them. But Yahuwah said, I ain't never told you to do that. But for this one time, and not for future generations, you're going to eat this sop. And you're only going to do it when you're in Mizraim. Why? So this mastama going to pass over you. That's the only time you're doing it. But not for future generations. Because why would you, because the Sod, when you look at the Sod, that means the father of gods. The Egyptians called the lamb, the physical lamb, the father of gods. The goat. He said you could take him the sheep and the goat. Verse 33, and Nuach rose up, and he made an ark in the place where Yahuwah had commanded him. And Nuach did as Yahuwah ordered him. When Yaakov had that dream, he told the wise, like, look at all this stuff that's happening to us. We're being destroyed here. He's taking our money, he's taking our things, everything's being got no inheritance, treating us strange, we're being destroyed. He's like, man, we got to do this thing. Verse 34 says, in his 595th year, Nuach commenced to make the ark, and he made the ark in 5 years as Yahuwah commanded. And then Nuach took his 3 daughters, of Elakim, the son of Methuselah, for the wives of his sons, as Yahuwah commanded Nuach. And it was at the time Methuselah, the son of Enoch, Hanuk, died 960 years old as he at his death. So it looks Bereshit 3:16 through 18. We're reading this again for a reason. It says, to the woman he said, I will surely multiply your pain in childbearing, and you shall bring forth children. And your teshuka shall be to your husband, and he shall mashal over you. Bereshit 3:16 through 18. And Yahuwah Elohim made the 2 great lights. The greater light, Ma'or, Mimshala, to rule, and the lesser light, to Mimshala, the night. Because the greater light gonna rule the day, and the lesser light gonna rule the night. And the Kukab stars. And Elohim set them in the expanse of the Rakia to give order to the earth, and to Mashar rule over the day and over the night. Why? This is their punishment, where he put them in authority. And amazingly, that same authority that these Kukabim and Yark and all these beings had, and all these Kukabim and Yark and the stars, that was the very same things that Nuach marked on his calendar. The very same things. But let's see what happened. And to Adam he said, so Yahuwah is speaking to both of them. He said, only one thing you need to do, he told Mashah to do. He said, obey my voice. That's all he said. And to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have not eaten from the tree which I commanded you, that you shall not eat of it, cursed is the ground because of you, and in pain you shall bring forth, eat. In pain you shall eat from the ground all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth to you. You shall eat plants of the field. In the day that I brought you out of Mizraim, I ain't never told you about eating animal sacrifices. I only told you to eat plants. I told you to eat from the ground. Because the day I brought you out, I didn't tell you to eat anything other than that. I never even spoke to you about it. When I told Nuach to go in the ark, I never even told you to put anything else other than what they need to eat in the ark. I never told you to put it inside of yourself. Because your body, the ark. You got a picture within, without. And if you have a Mizraim gods in your heart, that means, you know why you got people saying, why they want flesh? Because they still got Mizraim in their heart. They still got another God in their heart. Right, this Bereshit 3:20 through 24. You're going to see this right here. And Adam named his wife Ka'ur, because she was become the mother of all living. And Yahuwah made garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them. He said, make sure you eat it with a staff in your hand, your sandals on your feet. Right? He said, make sure you put these things on. He said, make sure you have them on. What did he say? And he says, and Yahuwah said, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. You become like one of us. What do you mean? You've now, because he just got punished like the sun and the moon and the stars, to rule over the day and the night. He's now become a God. And Elohim, he's now become like one of us. He's now become like one of us. And he said, he must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take from the tree of life and eat and live forever. He can't do that. So Elohim banished him from the Garden of Eden to work the ground from which he had taken. And guess what he did? And he drove the man out of the place of the east side of the garden, and the cherubim and the flaming sword and the flashing back and forth to guard the way of the tree of life. We just talked about the storehouse of the lightning. But guess what happens? That word for drove, he drove the man out is garage. To drive out, to put away, to thrust away. When Pharaoh sent him away, what did he say? You got to go real far away from me. Isn't that what he said? He said to put away, to thrust out the trouble. And he said to drive out, to divorce, to surely drive, to drive them away. So why would he drive them away? Because when Yahuwah punished Adam, he told him, from the ground you're going to eat plants. When he told him to kill that lamb in Mizraim, he said, for this time and for future generations, you ain't going to do it. Because he told Adam, you're going to eat from the plants of the ground. You're going to eat from the plants. I never spake to you when I brought you out of Mizraim, or when I drove you or garashed you out of Mizraim. I never spake to you concerning animal sacrifices and sin. Just like when I drove Adam out of the garden, I didn't speak to him concerning sacrifices and offerings for sin and eating flesh. I didn't tell him to do that. The same thing I did for you. I didn't tell you when I garashed you out of Mizraim. He said, how do you know it's garash? This is Shemuth, Exodus 12:33. 33, well, Exodus 12:33-39. The Egyptians were urgent with the people and sent them out of the land in haste. Didn't Yahuwah just do that to Adam? For they said, we shall all be dead. For the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading bowls being bound in their cloaks on their shoulders. The people of Yasharal had also done as Mashah told them. For they had asked the Egyptians for silver and gold and jewelry and clothing. And Yahuwah had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians so that they might let them have what they asked. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. And the people of Yasharal journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides men, women, and children, and mixed multitude also went up with them, with a very much livestock, both flocks and herds. And they baked unleavened cakes of their doughs that they had brought out of Mizraim, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Mizraim. That same word for thrust out is garash. The same word that was used when Adam was cast out of the garden, garash. And when Yahuwah cast Adam out of the garage, he never spake to him concerning no sacrifices for animals for sin, and he already gave them what to eat of the plants of the ground. He never told them about that. He never gave it to them. He said, for the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. And he says, and guess what he said? And thrust them out, and he could not wait, nor had they prepared any provisions for themselves. The same word for thrust out is garage. It's like Yahuwah thrust them out of the garden. He pushed them out of the garden. He said, I never spake to them concerning no animal sacrifice for sin. Matter of fact, when Adam committed sin, guess what that put? Sacrifices and offerings for sin. He's like, that's what that gave him. He's like, sacrificing and offering for sin, because that's the only way Adam's going to get taken back to the garden. He He said, I never told y'all to do no sacrifice and offering sin, because that's the only way you're going to do sacrifice and offering sin, because you got to be committing sin to do it. To transgress the commandment in the garden to eat flesh. That's the only way you're going to be killing animals and eating them. You got to be sinning. You got to know the God in your heart. You got to know the God Elohim in your heart. All right, just remove Exodus, verse 20. Chapter 20, 1 through 8. And Yahuwah Elohim spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. No other gods, cool, and Adam. You put the serpent before me. You put Mizraim gods before me. He said, you're going to surely die. And if you take my Pesach and you have it in your heart, he said, you're going to see some are sick and some are weak and some have died. Verse 4 says, ye shall not make yourselves carved images or any likeness of anything that is in the Shalim above, on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Why? Because it's going to produce fornication and adultery and all types of sin and fighting and war. That's the only reason people do it today. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. That's why man hates Yahuwah. But showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. Abraham loved me. You shall not take the name of Yahuwah, your Elohim, in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. Remember the Shabbat, to keep it Qahalath. 6 days you shall labor, and on 6 days you labor. Because on the 6th day of creation, he made you in his image and likeness. And you're supposed to be eating the plants of the field and the ground. But for some reason, y'all keep killing animals. And I never told you to do that in the first day of creation. 6 days you labor and do all your work. On the 7th day is the Shabbat of Yahuwah, your Elohim. On it, you shall not do any work. You, nor your sons, nor your daughters, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your livestock, nor the stranger within your gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah, your Elohim, made the Shamayim in the earth, and all that is in them, and rested on Shabbat, the 7th day. Therefore Yahuwah brought the Shabbat day, and he made it Qahalath. So you're supposed to be doing the very same things he did in the beginning. Because when I brought you out of Mizraim, I never told you that. When I took Adam, I thrust Adam out of the garden. I was like, I never told him about no animal sacrifice for sin. I told him you're gonna eat plants. And thorns and thistles gonna yield you, but you're gonna work the ground now. I ain't never told you to do that. Verse 12 says, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long on the land that Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you, which means your days are gonna be cut short. People say, why people ain't living 930 years? 500 years. Because of sin. They can't even live 4 jubilees. Verse 13, you shall not murder. Sin that shortens your life. You shall not commit adultery. Sin shortens your life. You shall not steal. Sin shortens your life. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Sin shortens your life. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. Sin shortens your life. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. Sin shortens your life. Your male servant, your female servant, your ox, your donkey, or anything that's your neighbor's. The day you eat of it, you shall surely die if you do it. You're going to shorten your life. It takes years off your life. Now, when all the people saw the thunders, the flashes, the lightnings, and the sounds of the Turah on the mountain smoking, so Yahuwah done. I never expect you concerning animal sacrifices and sin and eating flesh. He said, as Yahuwah commands us, we're going to sacrifice as Yahuwah tells us, and he's telling them right here. Then the people were afraid and trembled, and they stood afar off, and said to Mashah, you speak to us, and we will listen, but do not let Yahuwah speak to us, lest we die. And Mashah said to the people, do not fear, for Yahuwah your Elohim has come to test you, that the fear of him may be upon you, that you may not sin, like Adam and Yahuwah did, and shorten your life. Because I never spake to you concerning animal sacrificing for sin, and I never told you to eat flesh. The only thing I told y'all to do was obey my voice, and y'all can't even do that. The people stood afar off, while Mashah drew near to thick darkness where Yahuwah was, Elohim was. He was in thick. He's like, man, he was in thick darkness. This truth of the Nazarenes, 28, 1 through 3. Says, and it came to pass one day as Yahushua would have finished his discourse in a place near Tiberias, where there was 7 wells. 7 wells? Oh, you mean 7 celestial circles, right? You start seeing that, right? And he said, certain young men brought live rabbits and pigeons that he might have them to eat with his disciples. And Yahusha looked on the young man with compassion and said to him, you have a good heart. So Yahuwah looks not on as man see. Yahuwah looks at the heart. He said, you got a good heart. And Yahuwah shall give you light. Oh, because you in darkness. I'm going to give you some ore. Not the ore on the 4th day. I'm going to give you the light that's on the 1st day. But do you not know that Yahuwah, your creator, in the beginning gave man the fruits of the earth for food, and did not make him lower than the ape and the ox, or the horse or the sheep? He didn't make him a minor. I didn't make him a minor scale frequency. I didn't make him that way. That he should kill and eat flesh and the blood of his fellow creatures? I didn't make man lesser than an animal. I made him greater than an animal. I even punished him greater than an animal. Ma'or mim shala, yum. Ma'or mim shala layla. I punished them even greater than that. Indeed, the Pharisees believed Mashah and commanded such creatures to be slain. He said, indeed, the Pharisees believed Mashah and commanded such creatures to be slain, and offered it in sacrifice and eaten. And so do you in your temple. But behold, I have come to light the way back to the Torah, even the true Torah of Mashah, and put away bloody sacrifices as in the beginning. Even the sacrifice of grains and fruits of the earth. I'm trying to get rid of all of it. Grains and fruits of the earth, even sacrifices and animals and all these things. Why? Of that you offer impurity shall you eat. For the hour approaches when the sacrifices and feasts of blood shall cease, and ye shall worship in Chdsh with a pure oblation. So that stuff's gonna stop. But I never told you about this. He said, you got a good heart, but you need to learn the truth. That's what people do today. Man, I have a good heart. But he's like, you still doing the things opposite of what I said in the beginning. He's like, you have a good heart, but you need some illumination. You need some light on the inside of you. Because when I kicked Adam out of the garden, I never told him to keep eating those animal sacrifices for sin. And I never told him to eat flesh. I told him to till the ground. When I brought him out of Mizraim, I never spoke to them concerning animal sacrifices for sin. I didn't even I sent prophets and Nabiim to tell them the same thing. But yet, they still kept doing it. And then I come on the scene, and guess what they do? They want to kill me too. They want to stone me because it's an abomination for what I said. Just like Mizraim, it's an abomination to hear stuff like that. Right, this is Yuchanan 12, 1:24-32. Now, they had been, it says, now they have been sent from the Pharisees. They asked them, then why are you immersing? If you are neither the Mashiach, nor Eliyahu, nor the Nabi, Yuchanan answered them, I immerse with water, but among you stands one who you do not know. You don't even know him. Even he comes after me, and the strap of his sandals, I am not worthy to untie. Oh, he means sandals. Then he told us to eat it with our sandals on our feet. He said, with your sandals on your feet. These things took place in Bethany across Jordan, where Yahuchanan was immersing. The next day, he saw Yahusha coming toward him and said, behold the Lamb, the Sar of Yahuwah. He means the Father of gods, who takes away the sin of the world. The Lamb of the Father of gods. Because why do you think Mizraim called the Lamb, the physical Lamb, the Father of gods? The Lamb they were eating, the flesh, the Father of gods. Because that was their literal gods. But in Yahuwah said in human form, a lamb, a Sar, and Yahuwah said, I'm the Father of gods. And my son, you see that? That's me. I'm the Father of gods. He's like, look at here, Mizraim and all you gods. I'm the Father of gods. He's like, man, I ain't even worthy to loose his sandal straps. Behold, said, who takes away the sin of the world. This is he from whom I said, after me comes a man who ranks before me, because he was before me. I myself did not know him, but for this purpose I came immersing with water, that he might be revealed to Yasharal. And Yuchanan bore witness. And I saw the Ruach descend upon the Shamayim like a dove, and it stayed on him. It remained on him. It stayed on him. Matter of fact, you know how a bird stay on your shoulder? You're like, man, that thing stay on your shoulder. And they show you a pirate with a bird on their shoulder. You'd be like, what they got that on there for? But he a thief though. Because a pirate is a thief, and they have a pirate on the Pirates of the Caribbean, and they'll have a pirate on their shoulder, but that pirate's a thief. But you see right here, he said, man, it's the lamb, it's the sod, it's the Elohim of Yasharal, right? The Yukonah 6:41-59. So the Yahudim grumbled about him because he said, I am the bread which came down from Shamayim. Didn't they what they did to you, Mashah in the wilderness when they wanted flesh? They grumbled against him in the flesh. They wanted that thing. They started mumbling, grumbling. They said, is this not Yahusha, the son of Yusuf, whose father and mother we know? How did he now say, I have come down from Shamayim? He's like, who do you think you are? I came down from the highest Shamayim because he the father of spirit. He the father of gods. The Sa. Yahusha answered them, do not grumble among yourselves. That's what they did in the wilderness when they wanted flesh. He said, you want flesh? You was in the wilderness, you wanted flesh. I speak to you not concerning animal sacrifice and flesh and eating animals. But guess what? Being that you grumbling now, let me give it to you. I'm going to give you the right flesh to eat. No one can come unto me unless the Father who sent me draws him. And I will raise him up in the last day. It is written in the Nabi'im, they will all be taught by Yahuwah. Everyone who has heard and learned from the Father of spirits from above, he said, comes to me. Not that anyone has seen the Father, because remember we talked about as above so low, he's invisible. Right? And there he all will be taught by Yahuwah. Everyone who has heard and learned from the Father comes to me. Not that anyone has seen the Father except the one who is from Yahuwah. He has seen the Father. Truly I say unto you, whoever believes has eternal life. You got the blood on you. And the destroyer, the demon's going to pass right over you. But if you don't believe and you got other gods, like they do, and they're mumbling and grumbling because they still got the flesh in their mouth and they still got the desires, he's saying, you're going to die. I am the bread of life. He said, eat this. You grumble and grumble out some food in the wilderness, eat this. Your father ate the manna in the wilderness and they died. Because they grumbling, mumbling, grumbling what they want for food. This is the bread which comes down from Shamayim, so that one may eat it and not die, not be destroyed by the demon, Mustama. I am the living bread which came down from Shamayim. If anyone eats my bread, he will live forever. She, male and female, you're going to live forever. And Mustama going to pass right over you. Because we're in the time of the signs. In the Shemesh Kugrim in the yard. In the first month of the month of Abyd. We're in the middle of the signs. And Mustama going to run through here. Because certain spirits come around and the portals are open. I am the living bread which came down from Shamayim. If anyone eats my bread, he will live forever. And the bread that I will give for the life of the world is my flesh. Huh? My flesh. Isn't that what they want in the wilderness? I'm going to give them my flesh. Because that's what they want. He's like, you know what? Eat me, eat my flesh, and you will never desire that flesh again. He said, eat this bread. But guess what? Man still hasn't repented. The Yahudim and then disputed among themselves, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? They weren't saying that in the wilderness, though. So Yahusha said to them, truly I say unto you, unless you eat my flesh of the son of Adam and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Because that's what they want to eat. Because they still like those people. Just like Adam said, he told Adam, I never expected you concerning eating flesh and killing animals. I never told Adam to do that when he got kicked out of the garden. He got garroshed and thrust out. I never told him to do that. But being that you people still want to do that, eat me. So you can save and stop doing what you're doing and destroying yourselves. Whoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life. That's why he told him to eat the lamb and eat it in haste. And I will raise him up in the last day, for my flesh is true food. So was that lamb they ate, the natural lamb, true food? Did that take away their sin? Did that lamb actually stop the demons from coming in their body? Because they still had the actual idols in their heart. When they left, they got the demons mumbling, grumbling, complaining, fighting, warring. They still had the demons inside of them. So that actual food they were eating did not protect them from Mustama and the demons from entering their body. Because they thought Pesach only lasts one day. Pesach supposed to last a whole 364 days. You better have that blood covered. You supposed to be covered within and without. You supposed to eat his flesh and drink his blood within. You supposed to eat his flesh. You supposed to have it. You supposed to be covered in it. You supposed to do it full 364 days. And people say, why did Shaul say, I'm only going to teach you who should him crucify? Why? So you had the blood on the inside and without, picture within and without, for a full 364 days. Because if you have it, ain't no demon going to enter you. And when you do Pesach or anything like that, you eat it unworthily, he said the spirit going to come in you. Going to come in your body. Because when the spirits come around Yahusha, what do? Can we go into the swine? Can we go here? Can we go there? They don't want to be nowhere near you. Whoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life. And I will raise him up in the last day. For my flesh is true food, and my blood is true drink. Whoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood has life in him, and I in him. And the living Father has sent me, and I live because of the Father. Because he know his God, Elohim. I only live because of him. We don't. So whoever feeds on me, he also will live because of me. This is the bread that came down from Shamayim, not the bread that your fathers ate or died. Because that's what they were doing. They thought that was going to save them. Whoever feeds on this bread will live forever. Yahusha said these things in the congregation, in the synagogue, Aydah, as he taught in Capernaum. Right, this is Luke 9:12-27-33. Now is my soul troubled. What shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? For this purpose I came into this hour. Father, kabod your name. The voice came from Shamayim. I have kaboded, and I will do it again. The crowd stood by there, heard it, and said, it had thunder. That's what the storehouse of thunder. He said, can you do that? Can you tell me where the storehouse of thunder at? Does rain have a father? Can you break the cords of Orion and the Pleiades and the bear? Others said, a Malach had spoken to him. Then did Malach speak to Yaakov and all the other people? Yahusha answered, this voice came for your sake, not mine. Why do you think the voice came to all these people? Adam, Kavul, their punishment, all the things the voice came to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, and to Mashah. It came for your sake, not. He said, it all came for your sake. He said, why voice Yahuwah speaking to you? Because guess we know how Yahuwah speaking. He's like, it came for your sake. He's trying to save your life. Now is the judgment of this world. Now is the rule of this world be cast out. And when I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw all people to myself. Because I'm the father of gods. Not the bear constellation, not the Pleiades, not Orion, not the mighty hunter, not calendars, not the 4 stars. I'm going to draw all people to me, not the 12 tribes. He said, I'm going to draw people to me. Not the 12 constellations, the zodiacs. He said, I'm going to draw people to myself. Not the Sa, the father of gods in Mizraim, the father of gods in the highest Shamayim. The lamb in the highest Shamayim. He said this to show what type of kind of death he was going to die. He's going to die. Because that lamb surely got to die. He said, kill that lamb in the evening. Kill that Sa. Kill that father of gods. Why? So you can come to the real father of gods. Who told you not to eat flesh? Not the Yahoo, because he wanted to see if you'll kill it. Kill your God. I want to see if you'll do it. Because if you do it, then you'll be able to come to the real father of gods. Matthew 26:1-4. When Yahusha had finished all these things, he said to his disciples, you know that in 2 days the Pesach is coming. Isn't that where we're going right now? In 2 days the sun. 2 days from now, when the sun goes down, it'll be 2 days from now. The son of Adam will be delivered up and crucified. I'm going to be killed. Because I'm the Lamb of Yahuwah. I'm the Father of gods. And I have to die in order for you to go back to the Father of God. Then the chief priests and the elders and the people gathered in one place at the high Khan, whose name was Caiaphas, and they plotted together in order to arrest Yahusha by stealth and kill him. You know what you got to do with a lamb? Because they got to kill that lamb. Not during the feast, but they said not during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people. They had to do it. They had to do it before the feast. They had to do it before they started unleavened bread. They had to do it. 2 days from now, they're going to do it. And they had to do it. They had to. They had no choice. Right? This is Luke 9:18-1-14. After Yahusha had spoken these words, he went out to his disciples across Kidron with a valley where there was a garden. Now Judas, the betrayer, Yehuda, also knew the place because Yahusha had often met there with his disciples. So Yehuda brought a band of soldiers and officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees. They arrived at the garden carrying lanterns and torches and weapons. Because when you kill a lamb, you need something sharp. And you got to kill it at night. And in haste, you got to go get it at night. You got to do it real fast. You got to kill it between the sun. Yahushua, knowing all that was coming upon him, stepped forward and asked them, "Whom are you seeking?" Yahushua of Nazareth said, they answered, Yahushua said, they said, "Whom are you seeking?" Yahushua of Nazareth. They answered. Yahushua said, "I am he. I'm the Lamb. I'm the Sah. I'm the Father of gods that you love so much. That lamb y'all love to kill. I'm him. So therefore, kill me. So you can return back to the Father of gods, the Sah, the real Father of gods." And Yehuda, his betrayer, was standing there with him. And when Yahushua said, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. They had to hit the ground. Because he the Father of gods. Just like the Sar in Mizraim, they call it the Father of God. He the Lamb. I'm the Father of God. All the Elohims. Bow down and worship me. So he asked them again, "Whom are you seeking?" Yahushua and Nazareth. And they answered, "I told you I am he." Yahushua replied, "If you are looking for me, let these men go. Man, let these other ones go. Let the other sheep go." Because he got to be a sheep of a year old. Perfect sheep. Them other sheep wasn't. Because they mess around and take one of those other sheep, then the scripture won't be fulfilled. So he had to let them go in order for that one sheep to be taken, because he is perfect sheep, perfect one. Had they been taken, the scripture wouldn't be fulfilled. It'd have been four people up there on the cross. This was fulfilled where he had spoken, "I have not lost one of those you have given me." Then Shimon Kof drew his sword and struck the servant of Hakan's ear, cutting off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. "Put your sword back in your sheath," Yahushua said to Kof. "Shall I not drink of the cup my father has given me?" Then the band of soldiers, with its commanders and the officers of the Yahudim, arrested Yahushua and bound him. They brought him first to Ananias, who was a father in the law, and Caiaphas, the high priest that year. And Caiaphas was one who had advised the Yahudim it was expedient and better that one should die for the people. He said, "It's better that one lamb die. It's better that this perfect lamb, this perfect yam of 1 year old, 364, it's better that he die, because he need to die so we can go back to the Father of spirits, the Father of gods." So right, this is Matthew 27 to 30. Then the soldiers and the governors took Yahushua to the governor's headquarters, and they got a battalion before him, and they stripped him and put on the scarlet robe and twisted a crown of thorns on his head. And then we told Adam, "In the day I brought you out of Mizraim, I never told you." He said, "Thorns and thistles, I never told you this concerning animal sacrifice of sin, Adam. And being that I didn't tell you that, I'm going to be this lamb. I'm going to be the Sah of all the fleshly and desires that man desired on the earth. I'm going to be that lamb, and I'm going to take it all away. I'm going to bring you back." And they put it on his head and put a reed in his right hand, and kneeling before him, they mocked him, saying, "Hail, Malach of the Yahudim." And they spit on him and took a reed and struck him in the head. And when they had mocked him and stripped off his robe, they put his own clothes back on him and led him away to crucify him, to kill the lamb. They had to do it. Mark 15:19 through 21. And while they were striking his head with a reed and spitting on him, they kneeled him in homage on him. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of his purple robe and cloth and put his own clothes on him, and they led him away to crucify him. And they compelled the passerby Cyrene, who was coming in from the country, the father Alexander Rufus, to carry his cross. Right, Matthew 27:30. Now the governor's headquarters, they gathered the whole battalion before him. Right, this is the key part of this. And they stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him and twisted a crown of thorns. And they put on his head and a reed in his right hand. Kneeling before him, they mocked him, saying, "Hail, Malach of the Yahudim." Right, skipping to verse 32. And as they went out, they found a man of Cyrene named by name, compelled him to carry his cross. And when they came to the place called Golgotha, which means a place of skull, they offered wine to drink, mixed with gall. But when he tasted it, he would not drink it. When they had crucified him, they divided his garments among them by casting lots. Then they sat down and kept watch over him. And over his head they put his charge against him, which read, "This is Yahushua, the king of the Yahudim." And the two robbers who were crucified with him, one on the right hand and one on the left. And it says, why? Because he had to kill it in between the suns. And when does an eclipse happen? when the sun and the earth and the moon is in the middle. The moon got to be in the middle of the earth and the sun. Why do you think he in between two thieves? And amazingly, there was eclipse during this time. He said, then the two robbers were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left. People saying, oh, it was an eclipse this time. They're going to be an eclipse this year. I said, you have to understand like how people say, how time works. Right? It says, one on the right and one on the left. And those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads, and saying, you who destroyed the temple and rebuilt it in 3 days, save yourself. So when you look at 364, the 364-day cycle has a time sequence where there is an eclipse during that cycle. And when that eclipse happens during that cycle, then you know that it's time. But there are other eclipses that take place. And people saying, why do they happen so perfectly for me? It's because it ain't the time yet for the eclipse to happen during this time. It's just for you. Why? Because just like any other thing, it's all deception. And when you understand it, you'll understand it on a deeper level that people need to understand it. It's on a deep level. People don't even get it. Then the two robbers were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left. And those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads and saying, you will destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the son of Yahuwah, come down from the cross. He said, why all these things said? So you believe in the son of Yahushua. So also the chief priests and the scribes and the elders mocked him, saying, he saved others, he cannot save himself. He is the king of Yasharal, let him come down from the cross, and we will believe in him. Because he said, the false Mashiach coming. And people don't even know it. Because they're going to think that they full of righteousness, right? And they don't even know. They still got their gods in their heart. They don't even know. And he saved others, he cannot save himself. He is the Malach of Yasharal, let him come down from the cross. And we will believe in him. He trusts in Elohim, let Elohim deliver him if he will have him. Why you think he in the middle of the sun and the earth? And there's a reason why. Because he's trying to get people to understand time. And he's trying to get people to understand what you're doing is wrong. That's the only reason he's doing it. He's trying to show people it's wrong. And Yahuwah Elohim deliver him now if he desires him. For he said, I am the son of Yahuwah. He only bearing what's wrong. And the robbers were crucified with him, also reviled him in the same way. Tahalim 51, 7 through 15. Now this is the part. Remember, they were sitting down, all these things, they were saying all these things to him. O my people, hear, O people, and I will speak, O Yasharal. I will testify against you. I am Yahuwah, I am Yahuwah. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Now, not for your sacrifice do I rebuke you. Your burnt offerings are continually before me. They sacrifice and kill animals. Now, when David wrote this, was Yahushua on the scene yet? No. He's only showing you what's to come. He said, they all before me. You know what he said? I ain't rebuking you for that. Not yet. I ain't doing it right now. But eventually, but I'm not right now. I will not accept a bull of your house or the goats because they got good heart. He's like, you got good hearts. But he's like, man, there's something wrong with y'all. I will not accept a bull of your house or your goats from your foes. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle are on 1,000 hills. I know all the birds of the hills, and all that moves on the field is mine. If I were hungry, I wouldn't tell you. For the world and its fullness are mine. Do I eat flesh? Do I eat that? Do I eat the flesh of bulls and drink the blood of goats? I don't do that. When I came out of Mizraim, I never told y'all to do that. Do I eat this stuff? Offer to Yahuwah a sacrifice of thanksgiving and perform your vows to the Most High Yahuwah. And call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver you, because I never told y'all to do that anyway. And guess what? Their cries have reached the highest Shamayim, and he heard them. During the times of Nuah, even during the times they were in Mizraim, even during the Yaakov, he saw all the things they were doing to him. But this right here, but to the wicked, Yahuwah says, what right have you to recite my statutes and take my covenant on your lips and eat my honey? my bread. For you hate discipline, and you cast my words behind you. If you see a thief, you please with him. You keep company with adulterers. These are all people with other gods, right? Things in their heart. So you give your mouth free rein for evil and your tongue frame deceit. You sit and speak against your brother, you slander your own mother's son. And he said, well, they sat there and watched them, and they started talking about him and slandering him. You be the son of Yahuwah, come down from the cross. Yeah, come down from there. You know why they saying that? Because they eating blood and eating flesh. And they love eclipses too. They love worshiping the sun, moon, and stars. And they love eclipses, and they love eating flesh. And they love that little Sah, the father of gods in Mizraim. They love it. You sit and speak as your brother, you son of your mother's son. These things you have done, and I have been silent. Why do you think Yahushua wasn't saying that in totality? He said he was silent before. He said, I ain't going to rebuke you for the animals yet. Not yet. I'm going to rebuke you for this. During this time. These things that have been done, you've been silent. You thought I was one like yourself? You thought I eat flesh like you? You thought I keep company with adulterers and thieves? I'm pleased with them? You thought I eat blood of animals and goats? You thought I do that stuff? But now I rebuke you. Now I lay charge before you. Now I'm going to speak now. Mark this. You who forget Yahuwah, didn't all of them forget Yahuwah in the beginning? We just ran it through all the constellations and the stars. He's like, look at this. All of them forgot me. Everything comes from above. But for some reason, I say I'm from above, and I come from the highest Shamayim, and I'm the bread would come down from Shamayim, but everybody don't believe in me. He said, they don't believe. He said, mark this, you forget Yahuwah, lest I tear you apart. Oh, who can break the bands of Orion? Who can break the cord of Orion? Who can remove it? He said, lest I tear you apart, and there be none to deliver. The one who offers thanksgiving as his sacrifice glorifies me, if you do it the way I said. Or Aydah. To the one who orders his way rightly, I will show him the salvation of Yahuwah. He's like, why would he show you the salvation of Yahuwah? Because he must be ordering his steps rightly. But he said, you sit and speak against your brother, you son of your own mother's son. But now I rebuke you. When he rebuked him, right here. Because he said, I'm not going to rebuke you for the animal sacrifices yet. And that's not what I'm going to rebuke you for. But he said, I'm going to rebuke you for this. He said, now I've been silent with a lot of things, and I'm going to relay charge against all y'all. Even the people who eat flesh, kill bulls and goats, even the people who keep company with adulterers and thieves, even those who slander their own brother's son. Even the testament of Yehuda say, if you don't drink wine at all, he said, make sure you don't sin and slander. And guess what they're doing? Matthew 27:45 through 56. Now, from the 6th hour, there was darkness of the land until the 9th hour, just like it was in Mizraim. He said there was darkness. He said he darkness over the whole land. That means it was an eclipse. But y'all love them eclipses. Amazingly, they sitting down and looking at it. Because they weren't supposed to be dismayed by the signs of the sun, moon, and stars. But yet, the only reason I'm up here and I got an eclipse happening, because I want you to stop looking at that eclipse and start looking at me. I want you to start looking at me. But guess what everybody's going to be focused on? The eclipse. The sun and the earth and the moon is in between. And it's showing a shadow on the earth. Yes, you forgot about the Father of gods. It says, and over all the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried out with a loud voice, saying, Aliyah, Aliyah, Lama Sabbathana, Ma'alim, Ma'alim, why hast thou forsaken me? Oh, now I lay charge against you. All you people down there. Now I'm going to speak. I rebuke you. All you people down there sitting down, I rebuke you. All you people who like watching eclipses, I rebuke you. All the people who keep company with adulterers and thieves, I rebuke you. That's what he's doing. All the people who eat animal flesh and all that, I rebuke you. I don't eat that stuff. Do I eat that stuff? He said, let Yahuwah illuminate you. He said, why are you forgetting about me, Yahuwah? Because they forgot about me. Mark this, you who forget Yahuwah. And some of the bystanders hearing it said, this man is calling for Aydah. And one of them at once ran and took a sponge and filled it with sour wine and filled it on a reed, put it on a reed and gave him to drink. But others said, wait, let's see whether Aydah will come and save him. And Yahushua cried out again with a loud voice and yielded the Ruach. He said he was done. But the curtain of the temple was torn in two. And he broke that thing. And amazingly, these people built temples according to the stars. He said he tore that junk in two. Man, who would break the cords of Orion? from top to bottom. As above, so below. As above, so below. People from below think they made the things above, but everything comes from above because Yahuwah is invisible. It was ripped from top to bottom. And many bodies of the Chdshim and the fallen were raised and coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, and they went into the Qahalath city and appeared to many. And when the centurion and those who were with him, keeping watch over Yahusha, which means they watching the eclipse, they watching everything in the sky, they see all the things happening, the sun, moon, the stars being darkened, because they symbolizing the fourth day of creation, and them things being darkened, even the constellation, even the 12 tribes, even the Mim Shala, the greater light and the Gadol. I see all that darkening, and now I see the greater light above all that on the first day of creation. I could see it. And when the centurion saw all those things, all those who were with him, keeping watch of Yahushua, saw the earthquake, and it took place. He said, what happens during eclipses? People looking for an earthquake. He said, why are people looking for an earthquake today after an eclipse? They're looking for it. They're looking for an earthquake. They're looking for some type of disaster to happen. That's all they're looking for. We're on the Emergency Preparedness Act. We're preparing for an emergency. Something's getting ready to happen. We're in a state of emergency. There's going to be an earthquake on this eclipse, right? They're already preparing for it. Because they're thinking, because they're dismayed, because the heathen are dismayed at the sun and showing. They looking at all that. They don't even know there's a great and powerful people that haven't even been awoken yet. That ain't even got here yet. And that's why Yahuwah got people deception right in their mouth. But he said the earthquakes before them. Because if the earthquakes before them, that means they've already taken the side. And they're coming out. And the earth is going to be quaking before them. But they're going to have light when the sun is dark. And the moon ain't no light. They're going to come out of Mizraim because you know where the light going to be at? On the inside. Because they already took the side. And we already going to be coming out and this earth going to be quaking before us. They don't even know it. They already have it on the inside of their body. They have the blood on the inside of them. They already have it. And what took place? They were filled with awe and said, truly this is the son of Yahuwah. He said, truly this is the son of Elohim Yahuwah. He said, truly this is. It's got to be. Daniel 9, 26 to 27. After the 66th week, an anointed one shall be cut off and shall have nothing. Why think Yahushua was on the cross? Totality. And people of the prince who will come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. What do you think the temple split in two and it broke in half? And in the end, it says, and his end shall come like a flood, and in the end of three shall be war, desolation and decree. Who do you think did that? Mustama. And he shall make a strong covenant with many in 1 week. And for the half of the week, he shall put an end to the sacrifices and offering. No more of that sacrifice and offering. I'll stop that. You remember all that thing I told Adam in the beginning? That's back instituted. Because I never spoke to you. When I brought you out of Mizraim, I never told you about no animal sacrifice and start eating flesh. Just like I told Adam when I threw him out of the garden. I could rush him. And on the wing of the abomination shall come one who make desolate, until the decreed end is poured out on the desolator. Right? This is Yahushua 19:28. And after this, Yahushua, knowing that all was now finished, said, fulfill the scripture, I thirst. A jar of sour wine stood there, and they put a sponge full of sour wine and wine in hyssop branch and held it to his mouth. And when Yahushua had received the sour wine, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave the ruach. Bereshit 2:1. Thus the Shamaim and the earth were finished. This is 6 days. Man, it's all done. All the constellations, Mazarah, Orion, all the things that people named on the earth after creation. Yahuwah just called them Kukubina. They just made all these other stuff over. And he says, and all the host of them, on the seventh day, Yahuwah Elohim finished his work that he had done and rested the Shabbat, the seventh day. Isn't that what we're doing? From all his work that he had done. So Elohim barak the seventh day and made a Qahalath, because on it, Yahuwah Elohim rested from all his work that he had done in creation. He said, I'm done. Amos 5:4-10. For thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal, seek me and live. You know, we talked about in the first slide. He said, believe and be saved. But do not seek Bethar. And do not enter Gilgal or cross over Beersheba, for Gilgal shall surely go into exile, and Bethel shall come to nothing. It's going to be destroyed. Same thing that happened when after Yahushua died. They came in and destroyed everything, and he said, we went into exile. Seek Yahuwah and live. Be saved. Lest he break out like fire in the house of Yusuf and it devours with none to quench it with thought. O you who turn justice into wormwood and cast down the righteous to the earth. What you need to know. He who made the Pleiades and Orion, who made the Chemia Kitzel, who made the 7 stars in the band and the belt of Orion. He's like, look at here. I made them 4 stars around the belt of Orion. I did that. And turns deep darkness into morning. Why do you think it was darkness? He caused it deep darkness to turn into morning. Why do you think he made the sun go down at noon? From the 6th hour to the 9th hour. He says, and darkens the day into night. And why he did that? He's like, I made the Pleiades. I darkened all them stars up there. I darkened Pleiades, Orion, 7 stars, Orion. I darkened even all that. And I did it with eclipse that y'all like to look at all the time. I did all of that. I moved the constellations. I take the Great Bear and I move it by the hand. I move the stars and break the band of Orion. I do the thing. I put the 7 stars in the constellations. I do that. Who calls up for the waters of the sea? Who pours them out on the surface of the earth? Yahuwah is his name. That's his name. Yahuwah is his name. Who make destruction flash forth against the strong, so that destruction comes upon the fortress. They hate him who reproves in the gate, and they abhor him who speaks the truth. They got to. Yahushua said they hated me without a cause. He said, they hate you, they're going to hate me. They hate you, they're going to hate me too. They hate me, they hate you too. A servant is no greater than his master. They're going to hate you too. Aleph Shemuel 17, 38 through 40. And Saul clothed David with his armor, and put a helmet of bronze on his head, and clothed him with a coat of mail. And Daud strapped his sword over his armor. And he tried in vain to go. I started to go with that jump, for he had not tested them. Then Daud said to Saul, come, I cannot go with these, for I have not tested them. So Daud put them off. Then why do you think he took off all them stars and all that stuff? He was darkening the clear day. He put all them stars off. He took all that stuff off. He got rid of everything. Then he took his staff, his macaw in his hand, and chose 5 full stones, and he from the brook, and put them in his shepherd's pouch. I got like 5 of them. And his sling was in his hand, and he approached the Philistine. In the 5th letter of the alphabet, he had 5 stones, because we know, hey, behold, light revealed. When was the light shining in the beginning? The word for stone is Abyd. It means stone, common stone, a precious stone, a precious cornerstone. How you say? Matter of fact, a hailstone. Guess what it says? Abyd. Of course, you know it was only one, Father and the Son, but then you start to see, he was the 8. He was the 53. So he only had the Father and the Son. Who was the father of the gods? The Lamb. He had a father and the Son. Yahushua said, I'm my Father are one. Because it's Achad in Egyptian culture, they say it's the Father of gods, the physical lamb, the literal lamb that you take, you got. But that's not. Because it's not the Father and the Son, because he had the Father and the Son in his hand. This is Psalms 51, 10 through 17. Almost finished. Create me a clean heart, Yahuwah, and renew me the right ruach within me. Because if you don't have the right ruach within you, if you take the Pesach, then the demons will kill you. It will take you out, make you weak. Cast me not away from your presence. You know what he did to Adam? Take not your ruach from me. Restore unto me the joy of my salvation, and uphold me in willing ruach. Then I will teach transgressors your ways, and sinners will return to you. He said, you're going to delight in this more than any delightful food. Deliver me from blood guiltness. Blood guiltless. O Yahuwah, Elohim of my salvation, and my tongue will sing aloud of your righteousness. O Yahuwah, open my lips and my mouth and declare your praise. People saying, what I need to say? You need to tell Yahuwah to open your lips and declare your praise. Why? Because he'll give you songs to sing. For you will not delight in sacrifice, or I will give it. Man, I don't want that, because I put it into it. You will not be pleased with burnt offerings. I put it into that already. I've already done that. The sacrifice of Yahuwah is a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. O Yahuwah, you will not despise. I accept that. I'll let the demons pass over you if you got that type of heart. I'll let Mustama pass over you. You believe in Yahusha, you got a broken heart, and you see all the blood guiltness and all the animals and the sin offerings and the demons and the idols you have in your heart, and you repented. He said, I'll pass over you, and I will not let no spirit enter inside of your body. No other spirit. You'll have to continue to rule out. He said, I'll accept you. Right? So this is Aleph Kaf, Peter 1:18. Knowing that you were ransomed from your futile ways, inherited from your forefathers, not with perishable things such as silver and gold, but with the precious blood of Yahushua Mashiach, that lamb without spot. That lamb was just a symbolization. Because remember, that lamb in Mizraim was the Sar. It was the father of their gods. So therefore, I made you eat the father of their gods, and I made you kill the father of gods, in order that you can return to the father of the Elohims. He was foreknown, because that blood has to be on you, within and without. That's why Yahushua said, eat my flesh and drink my blood, you'll have life in you. The destroyer won't destroy you. He was foreknown before the foundation of the world, but was made manifest in the last times for your sake. This voice coming for your sake, not mine. He said, who through him are believers in Yahuwah, who raised him from the dead and gave him kabod, so that your amunah and hope are in Elohim Yahuwah. That's the only reason. Romans 5:6-11. For while we were still weak, he said, if you eat his flesh and drink his blood unworthily, you drink damnation to your soul, and some have become weak and sick, and some have died. He said, while we were still weak, at the right time, Mashiach died for the unrighteous. He did that. For one will scarcely die for a righteous person, though perhaps for a good person, one would dare to die. But Yahuwah shows his love for us, that while we were still sinners, the Lamb, Mashiach, died for us, Yahushua Mashiach. Weren't they still sinners in Mizraim? But they ended up killing the Lamb in Mizraim, so the destroyer won't come and kill them. But that same Lamb, Yahushua took on, and we were still sinners. He said, while you were still sinning, while you still had a basak in your mouth, you had all the other stuff in your mouth, them gods, and you were weak, guess what? He died for you. He died for you. Since therefore we have now been justified by his blood, much more shall we be saved of him from the wrath of Yahuwah, or you mean Mustama, the demons, the destroyer, the Malaki, the beings that he has reserved to destroy everybody. You now have Basar. You now saved from the wrath of Yahuwah if you believe on his name. He said, this ain't the flesh you need to be eating. Because I said for one time in Mizraim, I done sent my son Yahusha, now I rebuke you. I rebuke every last one of you. In the name of Yahushua Mashiach, to the kabod of his father Yahuwah. I rebuke every last one of you. For if while we were enemies, we were reconciled to Yahuwah by the death of his son, much more now we are reconciled. Shall we be saved by his life? More than that, we also rejoice in Yahuwah through our master, Yahushua Mashiach, through whom we have now received reconciliation, because he the father of gods, because we had other father of gods before. But he said, while we were still eating that stuff, he said, Mashiach died for you. And he said, now you got the real father of gods now. He said, eat my flesh and drink my blood. And guess what? Yahuwah serving you. Here you go. This is Yeshayahu 53:1. It says, who shall believe what he has heard from us? And to whom has the arm of Yahuwah been revealed? For he grew up before him like a young plant, like a root out of the dry ground. He had no form of majesty that we should look at him, and no beauty that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a mirror of sorrows and acquainted with grief. As one men will hide their faces, he was despised and we esteemed him not. Isn't that what Adam did in the garden? He hid his face from him. The very person that died for him, because he was in the garden. He hid his face from him. He was in the garden. Adam hid in the bush. while he was still a sinner, Yahushua Mashiach died for him. He said, now I rebuke you. He said, do I eat animal flesh? Nope. Do I keep company with these people? Nope. Do I slander? Nope. Now I rebuke everybody. Verse 4 says, surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten of Yahuwah, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us shalom, and with his wounds, he said, we healed. We healed from all of our diseases. We are now, he said, restored. Right? Dead Sea Scrolls 4Q257. These are the paths in the world, enlighten the heart of man, straighten out in front of him all the paths of true justice. Have in his heart respect for the precepts of Elohim Yahuwah, and the ruach of meekness, and patience, and generous compassion, eternal goodness, intelligence, understanding, potent wisdom, that trusts in all the deeds of your Elohim, and depends on his abundant mercy. And then you go through all this Torah, and you find that search the scriptures, and everything you have eternal life is speaking about Yahuwah's son. It says abundant mercy in there, and the ruach of knowledge and all the paths of action, enthusiasm and decrees of justice, and set apart plans with firm purpose of generous compassion, with all the sons of truth, of magnificent purity, which detest all unclean idols, of careful behavior and wisdom concerning everything, of concealment, of concealment concerning the truth of the mysteries of knowledge. These are the foundations of the son of the ruachs, or the spirits of the sons of truth in the world, and the reward of those who walk in it will be healing. By his wounds we are healed. By his wounds we are healed. It says plentiful peace and long life, because he the Prince of Peace. Fruitful offspring, Adam and Kua. With all everlasting barak, eternal enjoyment and eternal life, forever and ever. A crown of kabod with majestic raiment and eternal life. However, to the ruach of deceit, which these are things that Yahuwah will allow the spirits and the demons to enter your body. If you take Pesach with it in your heart, even after, or any other time in your life. Greed, sluggish in the service of justice, wickedness, falsehood, pride, haughtiness of heart, dishonesty, trickery, cruelty, much insecurity, impatience, much foolishness, impudent enthusiasm for appalling acts performed in lustful passion, filthy paths in the service of impurity, blasphemous tongue, blindness of eyes, hardness of hearing, stiffness of neck, hardness of heart, in order to walk in the paths of darkness and evil cunning. Why? Because in Mizraim, he killed them in the dark, at night. And the demon Shadim came at night, Mastama, to destroy them at night. So if you walk in evil cunning and darkness, that means you don't got the blood on you, and you outside the door, and you're supposed to stay in your house. You're supposed to be in your house. Amazingly, he said, man, I saw Tyra Wahal. She is loud and stubborn. Her feet don't about in her house. And people saying, why did he say that? And she said, man, my husband got a bag of money. He'll return at the full moon. You know, because they love that moon. He said, man, and amazingly, you see how she actually describes her sin according to the moon. Because they worship the sun, moon, and stars. Because she was talking about adultery. Because when you forget Yahuwah, he said, mark this, you forget Yahuwah. He said, you keep a company with adulterers. You forgot Yahuwah. And the visitation of all those who walk in it will be abundance of the affliction of the hand of Malachia, destruction of eternal damnation, and scorching wrath of the Elohim of vengeance. That's what's going to happen to you. And you say, you around it. He said, it's going to happen to you too. For permanent terror and shame, without end, and humiliation and destruction of the fire of the dark regions. What do you think all that stuff would come through Mizraim to do? In all the ages of their generations, they shall spend in bitter weeping and harsh evils in the abyss of the dark. And when there's a big cry in Mizraim, big cry, because all the people were dying. And the Mastama was running through. Without there being a remnant or survival for them, there was no firstborn that was alive. Why do you think Yahusha cried out? This Dabarim Hayamim, 2 Chronicles 29:3. In the first year of the reign, in the first month, he opened the doors of the house of Yahuwah and repaired them. That's what you need to do. People say, well, that's what we need to do, right? He brought the priests and the Louis and assembled them in the square of the east and said, hear me, Louis, Now consecrate yourselves and consecrate the house of Yahuwah, the Elohim of your fathers, and carry out the filth out of the Chdsh place. That's what you got to do to your body. You got to get them gods out of your heart. In the first month, we're in the first month. He said 2 days from now, Pesach. For our fathers have been unfaithful and have done what is evil in the sight of Yahuwah Elohim. They've been doing this for 6,000 years. They have forsaken him and turned away from their faces and the habitation of Yahuwah and turned their back. And he said Yahushua, he said, maybe he was despised and rejected by men. It's like, man, you hid your face from this person. He said, I'm the father of the gods, the Elohim, and they hate my everlasting guts. And I even came in the form of the father of the gods of the land, and they still eating it. For 2 Corinthians 6:19, they don't even believe in me. 1 Corinthians 6:19. But do you not know that your body is a temple of the Qahalath Ruach within you? Why would you eat that and put that in your body? Yahushua said, eat my flesh and drink my blood. You people, let that be your flesh. Because since you want it that bad, since you want to keep doing it, let this be your flesh that's inside of your body and make it within and without. Because you are those who got blood on the outside. You clean the outside of the cup. You got outside blood. But within, you still got your gods. And when you leave out, when you go out, when you rock, when you go out, when you come in, he said you still got it. And the demon and the Shadim, they all want to be a part of you. He said, whom you have from Yahuwah, you are not your own, for you were bought with a price. So kabod Yahuwah in your body. Clean the. If anyone, if 1 Corinthians 3:17-21, if anyone destroys the temple of Yahuwah, Yahuwah will destroy him. For Yahuwah's temple is Chdsh, and you are that temple. So you telling me Yahuwah's temple is Chdsh when you got all that filth and all that stuff inside your body? No. When you go all the way to the beginning, Adam didn't have that. When he brought him out of Mizraim, I said, I never told y'all to do these things. Let no one deceive himself. He said, I ain't got nothing to do with me. He said, he doers the world, now hears only. If anyone among you thinks he is wise in his age, let him become a fool that he may become wise. That's why you stay over. He like, man, I don't know. Teach me, Yahuwah. He said, for wisdom of this world is folly with Yahuwah. That's why all that constellation stuff, he's like, look at here. I can move all that. I can move it all. All them stars, shoot Kukabim yard. I can darken them. I can make an eclipse. I can make myself higher above all of them. I can do that. I make all that wisdom foolishness. All them stars, P40, 90, 89, P48, 48 cosmos, 8999. I can make all that stuff foolishness. Because I'm above it all. Draco. He said, I make all that foolishness. For the wisdom of this world is folly with Yahuwah. For it is written, he catches the wise in his craftiness. And again, Yahuwah knows the thoughts of the wise, that they are futile, they're worthless. So let no one boast in men. Because everybody it's a great thing to know all that. But he said, don't boast in men. In Adam, male and female, because you got female and male. Because they're going to pronounce all this information. Look at all this stuff I know. And guess what? Yahuwah make it all foolishness. He take it to nothing. He just made it nothing. Proverbs 16:31. Gray hair is a crown to kabod. It is gained through a righteous life. That's what it is. Doing good. Just like it is in the beginning. 6 days, 7. It was all good. Everything was good. Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty. I'm better than anybody. That's mighty. You can be the strongest man in the world, both male and female. He who rules his ruach than he who takes a city. You be stronger than a man who takes a whole city by himself. You be Achilles himself, greater than him, greater than warriors that came before him. The lot is cast in the lap, but it's every decision from Yahuwah. Kukum of wisdom of Solomon, Kukum Saluma. 4:8-9. For honorable age is not withstanding length of time, nor in measured in the number of years. Right, just like people look for female warriors like Khalitha, right, and all these other beings that's out here, right, that people want to be like. He said, man, you control your anger, you slow to anger, you full of righteousness. He said, you be stronger than them. You be stronger than all of them, right? He says, honorable age is not standing in the length of time, nor in the measured number of years, but wisdom, hukmah, is the gray hair unto men, and an unspotted life is old age. He said, unspotted life, that's old age. That's ancient. No matter how old you are. You could be 10, 15, 20, 35, 40, depending on what calendar you use, all the way to 95, to 110, to 300 years old, to 400, 500 years old, to 900 years old. All right, Sirach 6, 18 through 19. My son, gather instruction from thy youth, and thou shalt find wisdom in thine old age. Come unto her that ploweth and soweth, and wait for her good fruits. For thou shalt have not toiled much in laboring about her, but thou shalt eat its fruits right soon, because it's coming. All that fruits, that's what he gave Adam to eat. He said, Adam, you're going to eat every plant and the fruits, you'll eat seed. And that's like wisdom. And guess what? That's what I gave Adam to eat. I never expect them to catch no animal sacrifice and sin. I gave him to eat fruits and the plants. Hey, my temple is Chdsh. Do I eat that? Do I eat that? Do I eat flesh? Why do you think Levi, Louis, and them killing animals and eating that stuff and putting meat cleavers in? You're like, I don't eat that stuff. Why you even brought that in my temple? He said, I eat fruits. I eat the things I made Adam and Qahalath in the image and likeness of. I don't eat that stuff. Wisdom of Shalom 8, 1 through 16. Now, when I consider these things in myself, I pondered to them how to be allied with wisdom. Hukmah is immortality. That's the only way. And great pleasure is to have her friendship. And she's a companion. In the works of her hands are infinite riches. In the exercise of a conference with her, prudence. And in talking with her, a good report. I went about seeking as such to have her to me. People said, these having received a good report did not receive the promise. And then people saying, what do you mean? You have her companionship, man, it'll be a good report. And as a matter of fact, you'll get the promise. He said, him that orders his steps rightly, I will show him the salvation of Yahuwah. This Nazarene asked the Shalakim, right? Last three sides, and it said it done, right? It says what? Chapter 15. How demons get power with men, or how you say it? Mustama. Satanah. Satan, his minions, and his many legions. Therefore, demons that we have just said, we just went through all that Mustama and all that. And what happens? As we have just said, when once they were able, by means of opportunities afforded them to convey themselves through base, even evil actions into the bodies of the men, women, and children. He said, I'm going to let he's going to be destroyed. If they remain in him a long time for their own negligence, because they don't seek after what is profitable for their inner beings, eat my flesh. You should say, eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. Cover yourself on the outside and picture within without. Eat the plants and the fruits of the earth and do what I said. They necessarily compelled them into the future to fulfill the desires of the demons that dwell in them. That's why they were bragging and ranting on Yahushua Mashiach when he said, my flesh is true food and my drink is true drink. He said, let this be your flesh. And they were grumbling at him because they had the demons of Shadim on them. But what is worst of all, the end of the age, when the demons Shadim were co-signed the ageless fire, of necessity the Ruach also that obeyed him will be tortured in ageless fires together with his body that it has polluted. Why do you think he was swinging the sword of fire in the garden? Like, you ain't coming back in here. But then now, I say Yahushua is giving us an opportunity, right? This Essene book of Yahushua, sevenfolds of peace. Barak is the child of light, who is wise in mind, for he shall create the Shamayim. The mind of the wise is well plowed field, who's given forth abundance and plenty. For if thou slowest a handful of seeds to a wise man or woman, he sees in him, in his mind, eyes filled of golden wheat. For if you show your hand, and if thou showest a handful of seeds to a fool, he sees only what is before him, and he calls them worthless pebbles. As the field of the wise man giveth forth grain in abundance, and the field of the fool is the harvest of stones, so it is with our thoughts. All right, so we look at ourselves, we look at our inner man, we search ourselves, and we try to find those things that can cause, that are in our bodies for a long time, they cause fulfillment of desires within our body, but it's in our thoughts. As a sheaf with the golden wheat lies hidden within our tiny kernel, so is the Malkuth of Shamayim hidden within our thoughts. It's in our thoughts. If they be filled with power and love and wisdom of the Malakim of the Shamayim Father, so shall they carry us to the heavenly sea. But if they be stained with corruption and hatred and ignorance, they shall be chained our feet with pillars and pain and suffering. Isn't that what happened to Adam and Kuh? He said, in pain you shall bring forth children. In pain you shall go to the ground and work the ground. Isn't that what happened to him? No man can serve two masters. Neither can an evil thought abide in the mind filled with the light of the Torah. He who hath found Shalom have learned to soar beyond the realm of the Malachim. I learned to soar beyond the stars and the moon and the Kugrim in the yard. I learned to soar beyond the animals that were created on the 5th day, and the fruits and the earth and the trees that were created on the 3rd day, and the Shamaim and the expanse that were made on the 2nd day. He learned to soar beyond the realm of the Malachim. And you get all the way back to that 1st day, before light was even created. And he said, house, house. Strength, strength. Nail. Behold the nail. He said, you learn to soar beyond the realm of the Malachim. Know this shalom with thy heart. Fulfill this shalom peace with thy body. Right? All of you can now 2:24-27. Let what you heard from the beginning abide in you. Just like he told Adam, I never told you concerning animal sacrifices. I never told you about that. And eating flesh. I gave you a punishment. You're going to eat from the ground. But for some reason, when I brought him my Mizraim, they didn't do that either. He said, as Yahuwah told us. And Yahuwah told him, I ain't never told you to do that. He said, for this generation, one time. He said, if what you heard from the beginning abides in you, then you too will abide in the Son and the Father, the Ben and the Father. The Father and the Son, the Father of gods. The Father of gods, the Sa, the one who sits above Orion, Oranos, the Ketzil, the one who rides upon the wings of the wind above the Pleiades, the one who sits above the Bear constellation, Ursa Minor and Ursa Major, the one who rides above the wings of the wind. He's like, I'll do that. When I ride on the wings of the wind, it's in the 7 Shamayim. He said, I write these things. Get what he said. You brought in the Son and the Father. Why do you think David had them 2 stones? The Abyd, the Father and the Son. He said, I got these 2 stones. But that's the Father and the Son. That's all I need. I write, get what he says. And this is the promise he has made to us, eternal life. I write these things about those who are trying to deceive you. Look at all these people trying to deceive you. But the anointing that you receive from him abides in you, and you have no need that anyone should teach you. It's just like the dew on the ground, the mist. But as his anointing teaches you about everything, and it's true, and there's no lie, just as it has taught you, abide in him. Right, that's the whole point. Ode Shalom, last slide, 35, 1-7. The sprinkling of Yahuwah overshadowed me with serenity, and it caused a cloud of shalom to stand over my head, that it might guard me at all times, and it became my salvation to me. And we should say the son of Adam be lifted up, it would draw all people to me. Why do you think the cloud was over their head? They were sitting there. Do you have a cloud over your head? It's just like rain and snow. Yahuwah, it's like a rain and snow. So everyone who disturbs, everyone was disturbed and afraid, and there flowed from them smoke and judgment. That's what they were scared. They were talking about Yahushua like they were slandering their own mother's son. They were doing it all day. But I was tranquil in Yahuwah's legion. He said, Abraku Hanaf right? Abraku Kanaf Halak. I'm in his legion, his Malaki. He said, don't you know I can pray to my Father right now. I can call a whole legion of Malaki. Guess what he said? More than the shade was he to me, and more than the foundation. And I was carried like a child by its mother, and he gave me milk, the dew of Yahuwah. Yeah, that thing like the dew. Just like the dew on the ground. Just like I said, when you look at everything in creation, everything has its purpose. And all the words that we spoke were based upon being in nature. And I grew strong in his favor and rested in his perfection. He's like, I grew strong in his favor. He's like, both male and female. Zakar Nakubah. He said, we grew strong in his favor and rested in his perfection. A perfect lamb, without spot, on a full 364 day of a year old. The Father of gods, Yahuwah Elohim, who sits in the highest Shamayim, not the father of gods that saw on the earth of Orion. And I extended my hands in the ascent of myself, and I directed myself near the Most High Yahuwah. Are you thinking lifting up your hands just like tree branches in praise? And guess what it says? And I was saved near him. He's like, where you at? He's like, man, you ain't near Yahuwah. He said, yes, I am. Because I lift my hands up just like a son does his father. You ever had a son grab your leg? And he latches on and he won't let go? He's like, man, I ain't letting go. The son grabbed that leg. He's like, man, I ain't letting go. He said, hold your hand. A daughter, hold your leg. They won't let go. Like, I'm going wherever you go. I ain't letting go. Right, hold on tight. That's how I am with my father. Right? And the day he brought us out of Mizraim, the day he kicked us out, he told us to leave the garden. Because he wanted us to have a relationship without the garden. And the only way for us to have a relationship without the garden, we had to take our punishment. I mean, just like the Ma'or being Shala, the greater light and the lesser light. We had to be just like the cuckoo beam in the yard. We had to take our punishment to eat from the ground and the plants of the earth. We had to till the ground. He said, in pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be to your husband, shall rule over you. These are the commandments that he gave to us outside of the garden, until Yahushua comes back to bring us in the garden. And when he brings us back into the garden, then we'll be with him forever in eternal life. For the tabernacle of Yahuwah will be with men. And when your tabernacle of Yahuwah will be with men, just like a woman bears fruit and bears children and bears fruit, or a man produces fruit from the ground, so we produce fruit in our life. And in pain, we're going to do it. Why? Because of the punishment that we have. But in light of all of that, the pain is death. And that pain is for everybody. But whether you live 100 years, or 50 years, 30 years, 40 years, 20 years, whether you live all the way to 930 years or 960 years, the promise is still the promise. The Amar, the utterance, is still the utterance. And it has not changed. From the beginning, even until the end, all things will go back just like it was in the beginning. For all the world will be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah. And men will beat their swords and the plowshares and all those things going to beat them in the pruning hooks. And they will study war no more. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth.